Comrades, welcome. Our meeting will start in few minutes.
Lal Salam, comrade. I'm Prakash Shrestha from Nepal, comrade.
Welcome again, Prakash, comrade. Comrades, welcome. We are working with the technical details. Please give us a few minutes. I will start after that. Thank you for your understanding. Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Gazi. Comrade.
Thank you, comrade. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good also. Thank you.
Thank you. Everything is good. The mic is good and camera.
Everything is great. Your voice is clear and everything is clear. Welcome, Dr. Budat.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you?
We are good. I hope you are good as well.
Yes, we are good, and it's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear comrades, our summit is starting now. I will be doing the opening speech. Dear comrades, dear friends of the struggle, welcome the International Youth Summit for Palestine. It is an honor to be open the historic meeting from Turkey, a frontline country standing firmly against the imperialist Zionist siege imposed on our region. Today, youth organizations from 20 countries and over 30 movements join their voices unity. Despite cultural, linguistic, and geographical differences, we gather under one principle. The liberation of Palestine is the common cause of humanity. Even after the announcement of so-called ceasefire, Israeli aggression has continued without pause. Violations, bombings, and assassinations expose once again that those who commit genocide have no respect for international law or basic human values. The summit is therefore not symbolic. It is necessary. Our duty is to transform outrage into organization, solidarity into action, and resistance into a global program for justice. Comrades, the Palestinian people today stand at the forefront of historical struggle, not only for themselves, but for every nation resisting to US and Israeli imperialism and Zionism. From Gaza to Jenin, from the refugee camps to the universities, a heroic generation is rising, proving that the resistance is stronger than occupation. This resistance is not isolated. We have all witnessed that the unity of anti-imperialist nations is the only real force capable of deterring the Zionist aggression. Meanwhile, the mask of Atlantic system has fallen. While tens of thousands are massacred before the eyes of the world, Western governments who claim to defend democracy have chosen to support genocide while standing still. Yet, we salute the honorable, courageous, and principled people in the West who fill the streets of their cities, confronting their own governments, standing with Palestine. Our struggles are one, and we answer together. We will not allow the division of anti-imperialist nations. We will remove the US, British, Israeli, and NATO military bases from our region, and we will continue to fight for a world based on equality, sovereignty, and justice. Until the establishment of fully sovereign and independent Palestine state with the Al Qudus as its capital and the future determined solely by the Palestinians, our struggle continues. Now, dear comrades, to begin our summit, I will read the message sent by our comrades from Japan, the patriotic youth movement Isukai, whose solidarity strengthens our united front. Now, we now begin with the message. Dear World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union, dear International Youth Summit participants, we are Japan's patriotic Isukai organization. Our organization, Isukai, is a patriotic organization established to keep alive the memories of world-famous novelist Mishima Yukio and his young comrade who shared the same fate, who traditionally committed suicide in front of the members of the Japan Self-Defense Forces, which is still not become a national army today, by ringing the alarm bells against Japan's independence on the USA after the Second World War. We work with the hope that the historical, traditional, and cultural harmony of nations will be ensured within the country and internationally. Not freedom and democracy propagated by the Western countries. As people living in the East, we never accept Israel's unjust land occupations of Palestine and especially the genocide it committed in Gaza region. Let alone superficial right-left ideologies distinction, we feel stronger anger. Unreasonable events are taking place before our eyes, in which people who talks about freedom take away the freedoms of their neighbors with guns and bombs. We would like to express our heartfelt solidarity to you who continue the genuine resistance movement against this irrationality, and we would like to convey the support of Japanese patriots. Let us fight resolutely against the global imperialism, which dominates the world through finance and military industry. We wish success to our comrades around the world who raise their own history and traditions with their own hands. Usukai Youth Secretariat. Thank you, comrades. Now, I would like to give the floor to the Ghazi Abdulal, representing the Palestinian Youth Organization from Palestine. The floor is yours, comrade.
Thank you, comrade. Dear comrades and friends, I would like first to thank the organizing committee of this International Youth Summit for providing this great platform to raise youth issues aimed at opposing Zionist and imperialism and supporting the issue of Palestine. PYO, the Palestinian Youth Organization, is a mass youth organization founded in the diaspora, Lebanon, Syria, as well as in Palestine. I'm currently residing in Lebanon, not by choice, but by necessity. There are 12 Palestinian camps suffer from many problems from the north to the south in Lebanon and Syria. And they have many obstacles and problems at all levels. As an organization, we work in these camps on several issues, including raising national and cultural awarenesses, providing educational assistance, promoting the concept of volunteerism among young people, and promoting revolutionary culture and armed struggle. We have strong relationships with many local and international NGOs, organization, and we believe that there is no alternative to Palestine, and we adhere to the right of return. 7 October. What's happening in Palestine in terms of genocide, starvation, and displacement is a Zionist imperialism colonial project that began in 1948. Not now, it's not new. Palestine and its people has been suffering since the Nakba. But recent events have brought the issue back to the streets of the world and to the table of every discussion and dialogue. October 7th, it's a natural outcome and legitimate right to defend ourselves as a people under occupation, suffering from killing and destruction and destroying. And this is within international law. we don't view October 7 as a problem and forget that there has been Zionist occupation since before 1948. Gaza has stood firm, and its people have stood firm with all sacrifices, martyrs, and bloodshed. We have comrades there and our organization working there on several relief, healthy, logistical, and others. We know what's happened there, what's happening there. So we have several points to raise quickly. Recommendations. First, forming a network of global youth organizations to develop a program of action, define tasks, and establish a structure of and management for this network. Second, raising awarenesses about what's happening in Gaza after the war and exposing the crimes of the occupation everywhere. The occupation continued to kill and starve the people even after the agreement and ceasefire. 3, creating a page or channel in several languages and working to present the correct Palestinian narrative. 4, organize campaigns and solidarity in support of prisoners, Palestinian prisoners, and what's happening in the occupation's prisons. 5, let us work to launch a global fundraising campaign to support Gaza within everything it needs. 5, there are large numbers of students in Gaza who cannot afford school and university fees. Let us work to secure local and online scholarship. And finally, we at the PYO, Palestinian Youth Organization, are ready to cooperate and work on these issues and are opening to partnering or collaborate with everyone or every organization in our issue. Thank you all. Long live Palestine and long live the free people of the world. Thank you.
Thank you for your contributions, comrades. Now I invite our comrade Asel Saleh from People's Dispatch from Palestine to take floor and share their contributions.
Yeah, hi everyone, and many thanks to the World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union for providing me with this opportunity to share my ideas and thoughts about what expected from us as like youth leaders across the globe. So, as a representative of People's Dispatch, first of all, I would like to give you a brief about People's Dispatch. It's an alternative media outlet which is affiliated with the International People's Assembly, with the mission of bringing you voices from peoples in struggle across the globe, above all the Palestinian people. But actually, we also focus on all people in struggle against fascism and imperialism across the globe. And we believe in internationalism and the unity of the struggle of all peoples. What I'd like what I would like for the youth to do or to contribute in order for the Palestinian cause to be promoted and to advocate for it is to support alternative media outlets because they provide the truth, the correct narrative. And it is this way, it is through this way that we counter the whitewashing sought by the mainstream media and the corporate media, which the Western imperialist countries support and fuel. And the Zionist Hasbara or the Zionist propaganda as well. So what is needed from us as youth is to follow these alternative media outlets like People's Dispatch, Breakthrough, and other multiple media outlets, which maybe do not sound very familiar to many people around the globe. So whoever knows about these media outlets or can reach to them, please share their content and follow them so we can beat the meta algorithms which try to hide the Palestinian content and which try to conceal the crimes committed by the Israeli occupation. And our mission actually is going to be very difficult. I mean, the Palestinian reporters, because I report actually from Ramallah, from Palestine, although People's Dispatch is based in New York, but I am their correspondent in the West Asia region and I am based in Ramallah. So the upcoming phase will be very difficult for us because the Israeli Knesset passed a law or a first reading last week, which will restrict the work of foreign media outlets and foreign media journalists on the ground. So please support us with your personal effort to share our content again and to follow our platforms. And many thanks again for inviting me and for giving us this floor to speak and to spread our word. Thanks a lot.
Comrade, there's a question to you. What's the fastest way to reach out to People's Dispatch? You have time, you can answer that as well.
What was the question, please, again?
What is the fastest way to reach People's Dispatch?
The possible way, we have an online website where we publish our articles, and our articles are distinctive because they provide you with the perspective of the people in struggle, not the perspective of the governments or the regimes, the fascist or the imperialist or colonist regimes. So we have a website. You can reach it like by going to www.peoplesdispatch.com, and we have different platforms on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Just write People's Dispatch in the search and you will find it. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade. Thank you again for your contributions as well. Now, dear comrades, the next speaker is Can Aybars Bilgicier from Vatan Parti's Vanguard Youth from Turkey. The floor is yours, comrade.
Hello to all of my brothers and sisters, to all of my comrades. Brave heroes of the resistance front, comrades who stand against imperialist and Zionist oppression from all around the world. Let's say that in the beginning, a new world is being built. A new civilization is rising in which the oppressed defeat the oppressors and humanity advances. As the world undergoes major transformations, two fronts have emerged, let's say, and the lines are clear in this confrontation. From the Caucasus and the Black Sea to the Aegean, the Eastern Mediterranean, Syria, Iraq, and the Strait of Hormuz, we are one front. And standing before us are American imperialism and Israel Zionism, as well as the malicious alliance formed by Greece and the Greek Cypriot administration in the Eastern Mediterranean. Our front is the front of the rising Asian civilization. Our front is the front of the developing world, the world of the oppressed. And on this front, all anti-imperialist forces of the world stand shoulder to shoulder. Dear friends, Palestine is not only the front line of the Muslim world or the Arab people, it is the front line of humanity. As the Vatan Party, our blood has mingled with the blood of the martyrs of Palestine. In 1973, Israel murdered 9 of our party administrators in the Nahr el-Bared camp. For 50 years, the Vatan Party has shared a common destiny with the Palestinian people and nation. Israel has not been able to defeat Palestine by force. Our martyrs, Ismail Haniya, Hassan Nasrallah, Yahya Sinwar, and all who fight for independence, strengthen Palestine's honorable resistance. And Palestinians do not fear death. The Palestinian people enter the struggle with their entire being, unafraid. Israel hides in bunkers while those who fight for independence and dignity stand tall. Now, American imperialism seeks to disarm Palestine with the so-called Trump plan. But whatever the Palestinian people have achieved, they have won through armed struggle. If Israel has failed to capture Gaza despite years of military attacks, it's due to Palestinians' armed resistance. If the world is now beginning to recognize the state of Palestine, this has been accomplished through its armed strength. Disarming and dismantling the Palestinian nation is unacceptable. The fate of Palestine cannot be determined by its enemies. And we have to say that those who commit genocide cannot decide destiny of those who suffer genocide. This plan is neither humane nor lawful. Today, it cannot be accepted by the conscience and the will of the international community. The progressive front of the world has been established by history itself against the imperialist Zionist assault. This front line extends north to the Black Sea, east to the Strait of Hormuz and the Gulf of Oman. On this front, destinies are united. On this front, the barrels of US bases on the Aegean coast of Greece are aimed not only at Turkey, but at all of us. On this front, the military buildup of the US, Israel, and Greece in the Eastern Mediterranean targets Palestine, Turkey, Lebanon, Syria, and the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. We have to admit that the Turkish Republic of the Northern Cyprus is a crucial defensive position, not just only for Turkey, but for the entire region and all of humanity against US-Israeli threats. Strengthening TRNC is vital against the armed threat in the region. In this context, Northern Cyprus is strategic not only for Turkey, but also for all regional countries, especially Russia, Syria, Palestine, Libya, Egypt, and Iran. Palestine and Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus are brother nations as frontline states in the Eastern Mediterranean. Their destinies are shared. The recognition of the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus is critical for the breaking imperialist Zionist pressure in the Eastern Mediterranean, strengthening state power in the region. Turkey must take the necessary steps for the recognition of Northern Cyprus. As the Vatan Party, we pledge to promote the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus internationally. Israel threatens West Asia and the world with the three-pillar plan of aggression. Identifying the three objectives of US-supported Israel aggression is essential for establishing the right strategy and producing the correct policies. First, Israel aims to prevent an independent Palestinian state centered in East Qudus through its occupation of Palestine lands and its current assaults. Second, Israel has not abandoned and will not abandon the goal of establishing a second Israel in West Asia. To defend this plan, we as the Vatan Party assume pioneering responsibilities to end US-Israeli-backed terrorism. Third, Israel has formed an armed partnership with US, Greece, and the Greek Cypriot administration to eliminate the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus and seize the economic resources of the East Mediterranean. Israel's aggression in the East Mediterranean targets all states in the region. The countries of the West Asia and their allies can defeat Israel's aggression on three fronts with a three-pillar plan. First, the establishment of an independent Palestinian state centered in East Qudus. Second, the defeat, particularly on Syrian and Iraqi soil, of the US-Israel attempt to create a second Israel. And third, the neutralization of the US-Israel-Greek Cypriot partnership aggression in the Eastern Mediterranean. We present to your attention the historical importance of the three-pillar plan for taking a strategic stand against US-Israel aggression and ensuring the broadest possible unity. As the Vatan Party, we embrace our duties with full awareness of Turkey's historic responsibility. The oppressed are uniting. Anti-imperialist and anti-Zionist youth on the world are joining together. Long live Palestine. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your valuable statements. Now I will invite Kayahan Çetin from Youth Union of Turkey to give his speech.
Dear comrades, dear friends in struggle, I greet you all with respect and revolutionary solidarity from Turkey, a country standing on the front line of the imperialist Zionist encirclement. Today, as youth organizations from 19 countries, we gather to declare once more that the glorious struggle of Palestine is the struggle of all humanity, the common cause of every nation resisting US imperialism and Israel Zionism. The people of Palestine resisting genocide and fighting heroically are not only defending their own homeland, they are fighting for the entire world that suffers under the bloody hands of US imperialism and the Israel Zionism. Palestine is our blood brother. Palestine is our front line. Palestine is the pride of humanity rising against the US-Israel axis. Today, the armed resistance forces, Hamas, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Ansarullah in Yemen, and the armed power of the Islamic Republic of Iran have changed the global balance of power. They have isolated the genocidal invader and its supporter, US. Iran, during the 12-day war, struck the criminal military centers of Israel and proved the only force capable of deterring Zionism, the united military power of West Asian and Eurasian states. Only strength, only power can stop Zionism. For this reason, we must expose the truth behind the so-called ceasefire plan promoted today by Trump, Netanyahu, and their allies, the disarmament of the Palestinian resistance. Let this be heard clearly. The Palestinian resistance will never be disarmed. If Palestinians surrender their weapons, they surrender themselves to the monster's hands. Every achievement gained so far, including the growing international recognition of the Palestinian state, has been won through armed resistance. The US dream of peace through disarming Hamas, Hezbollah, and all resistance forces is nothing but an illusion. We call on all our friends across to the world to take a clear stand and defend the resistance front. The perpetrators of genocide cannot be allowed to dictate the fate of their victims. The military and political leaders of Israel must be prosecuted and punished for their crimes. Today, the mask of the US-led Atlantic system has fallen before the eyes of the world. Tens of thousands have been massacred, and Western governments responded not with justice, but with complicity, silence, and open support for Zionism. We salute the honorable, brave, and revolutionary people across the United States and Europe who rise against their governments, the treacherous accomplices and apologists of Zionism. The brave people of Europe. Our struggle is one and the same. Our unity is the formula for building a more justice and equitable world whose footsteps we already hear. To our comrades in the West, we say, stand firm against Zionist propaganda targeting Hamas, Hezbollah, and the resisting states of West Asia. Be the voice of truth. Be the voice of resistance. Across the military front, the United States is losing its position as the global interventionist power. Across the economic front, the dollar hegemony it imposed on the world is collapsing. Across the political front, US is isolated alongside Israel. The era of the US-designed unipolar world is ending. Behind the ruins of this violent system, we see the foundations of a new world emerging, not as a dream, but as a historical reality shaped by the heroic struggle of Palestine. Comrades, the front line that will determine the fate of all humanity from Latin America to East Asia is the Eastern Mediterranean. Here, the United States and Israel maintain a three-legged military trade. First, the Israel occupation of Palestine and the ongoing genocide. Second, the attempt to carve out a so-called Kurdistan by dividing Turkey, Iraq, Syria, and Iran. In reality, a second Israel, backed by separatist and extremist terrorist organizations. Third, the US, Israel, Greece, Southern Cyprus military axis in the Eastern Mediterranean, filling Greek coasts, the Aegean coast, with US military bases, arming Southern Cyprus, and conducting joint war exercises. Today, the front line of the Eastern Mediterranean is Palestine, and the focal point of military escalation is Cyprus. As martyr, leader of Hezbollah, Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, declared before his death, Southern Cyprus has already become an Israeli basis. The first goal of the US and Israel is to remove the Turkish army from Cyprus and dismantle the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, TRNC. That is why they are establishing military bases in the south. For this reason, we declare the recognition of the TRNC, Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, is as important as the recognition of the state of Palestine. I call upon all comrades here to work in your own countries for the recognition of Palestine and TRNC and to defend these two states standing against the same imperialist threat. Palestine, Cyprus, Ukraine, Taiwan, Syria, Iran, all are front lines of humanity against US-Israel terror. No state in West Asia will be allowed to be divided according to US interests. We will expel all US, NATO, and British military bases from our region. As the Youth Union of Turkey, our organization, the organization that has placed sacks over US shoulders, heads, 7 times, we will intensify our struggle to seize all US and NATO bases in Turkey, especially Küreci and İncirlik bases, and to secure Turkey's withdrawal from NATO. One for all for one, against the US blockade in the Caribbean, we are Venezuela. Against Israel aggression, we are Iran, Yemen, Lebanon, Qatar, Syria. On the front line of the Eastern Mediterranean, we stand as the Turkish Cypriot. Against NATO expansionism, we stand with Russia. Against imperialist encirclement in the South China Sea, we stand with the People's Republic of China. From the land of Turkey, fighting for its national unity, we salute all our friends in this global struggle. And above all, as the symbol of our shared resistance, our consequence, and our honor, we are all Palestinians. Until a fully independent state of Palestine is established with Kudus as its capital, with integrated territory, and with a destiny determined solely by its own people, our mission continues. We stand ready for every humanitarian and social duty required of us. We carry our homelands in our hearts and the world in our horizon. Long live the states seeking independence and the nations seeking liberation. Long live free Palestine. Long live the new world. Down with US imperialism. Down with Israel Zionism. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your powerful remarks, Mr. Kayan, comrade. Also, I saw in the chat, people are sharing their personal information. Please send them your email addresses from WhatsApp or Telegram to me. I will share all of the participants after the event as well. Thank you again. It's my honor to pass the floor to for example, wait a minute, okay. It's my honor to pass the floor to Said Amin Shirazi from Imamia Student Organization from Pakistan to share his ideas and his valuable comments. Thank you. Mr. Said Amin, are you here? Are you with us? Okay, probably there's a connection problem. Then we will move to Comrade Ramiz Shoyal from Mazor Kisan Party from Pakistan to give his speech. Ramiz, comrade, are you here? Okay.
Yes. Okay. Let me know if I'm audible.
Yes, your voice is clear.
All right. Thank you, comrades. Comrades, I bring revolutionary greetings from the Mazdoor Kisan Party of Pakistan to the World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union. Mazdoor Kisan Party is the Workers' Peasants Party. We thank the Watanji Vanguard Youth, the Youth Union of Turkey, and all progressive forces who are gathered here together. Your work in confronting imperialism in these dark times is inspiring, and you can count on our organization's unwavering solidarity. We dedicate our presence today to the heroic people of Palestine, the stand on the front line of human dignity. We stand with the comrades in Lebanon resisting Zionist expansionism. We stand with the people of Sudan fighting against an imperialist-backed civil war. We stand with the revolutionary governments of Venezuela and Cuba who face US aggression, and we salute the anti-colonial struggles of the people of Sahel who are charting a new course for Africa. Your struggle is our struggle. Your victory will be our victory. Comrades, to understand our politics, you must understand our history. The Mazdoor Kisan Party is a Marxist-Leninist organization born from a peasant uprising of the late 1960s. Our roots lie in Hashtnagar, where landless peasants organized by our party rose up, seized land from feudal lords, and paid for that liberation with the blood of 200 martyrs. We are the inheritors of that struggle. Today, the same conflict continues. We organize peasants against the so-called Green Pakistan Initiative, a neo-colonial plan to hand millions of acres of fertile land to Gulf monarchies and Western agribusinesses. We organize workers against the IMF, whose policies of privatization and currency devaluation devastate the working class. In Pakistan, an alliance of capitalist landlords and military elites governs on behalf of Washington and the international financial institutions. Our rulers manage Pakistan on behalf of Washington. Comrades, this brings us directly to Palestine. For us, Palestine is not a humanitarian tragedy. It is the bleeding edge of the imperialist system. What we see today is not a conflict between two equal sides. It is the continuation of a settler colonial project whose purpose is to secure Western dominance in Asia. The Zionist entity serves three material functions. One, it is a permanent military outpost for US imperialism in the Arab world. Two, to fracture any possibility of pan-Arab or regional unity that could challenge Western control over trade routes. Three, it functions as a showroom for the US military-industrial complex, where every bomb dropped on Gaza becomes a profitable advertisement. The hypocrisy of the US and Europe lecturing the world on democracy while enabling genocide stands exposed before humanity. The recent assassination of resistant leaders Ismail Haniyeh, Yahya Sinwar, and the great Hassan Nasrallah are not signs of Zionist strength. They are acts of desperation. They prove that imperialism cannot defeat a people's resistance politically, so it resorts to cowardly murder. But they fail to understand you can kill a revolutionary, but you cannot kill the revolution. Comrades, the struggle in Palestine must be understood in a broader context. It is a plan to dismantle every sovereign anti-imperialist force in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America. They went for Iraq, then Libya, then Syria. Now they're going for Venezuela. They support proxies against Yemen and Iran. The ethnic cleansing of Palestinians is central to this plan. The imperialist world order is entering a period of deep crisis. We see NATO's proxy war against Russia and Ukraine, the encirclement of China, and Zionist aggression spreading across the region. It shows that the imperialist system is in a deep crisis and it is becoming more reckless, more violent. In this context, the Palestinian resistance is fighting not for its own land, but for all oppressed people. It is tearing open the armor of the imperialist system. What then is our responsibility? First, we must intensify ideological struggle inside our own countries. We must expose our governments, our elites, and the corporations that benefit from war and occupation. Second, we must move beyond symbolic gestures. We must support the boycott, divestment, and sanction movement. We must stand with workers refusing to load weapons bound for the Zionist entity. And we must demand the end of all diplomatic, economic, and military ties with the occupation state. Finally, we must build genuine anti-imperialist power. A united global South remains the only real alternative to imperialist barbarism. Our demand is not for a managed ceasefire. Our demand is for the complete liberation of Palestine. And comrades, before I close, I want to bring your attention back to something that is going on in Pakistan. In the very same lands of Hashnagar, where our party, the Mazdoor Kisan Party, was born, a new generation of peasants is rising up. Under the leadership of our party's chairman, Comrade Salar Fayaz Ali, they are once again fighting the landlords for the right to the land. Our comrades, including our chairman, are facing a new wave of arrests and detentions for the crime of organizing the poor and for land rights. The Mazdoor Kisan Party uses this platform and asks you to extend your solidarity to the peasants of Hashnagar and to our arrested comrades. Comrades, we stand here with one message. Imperialism can no longer rule the world as it once did. The oppressed will no longer live as they once did. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Long live international solidarity. Long live the revolution. Inqilab Zindabad. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you for your strong messages, Comrade Ramiz. Now we will back to the Said Amin Shirazi. Mr. Said Amin, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Okay.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قابل احترام मेज़बानों, पेश अज़ 30 ममालिक के मुमताज़ वफूद, मुहतरम उलमा, नौजवान नुमाइंदगान और MOU यूनियन के मौजूद अरकान, मैं आप सबका सलाम अर्ज़ करता हूँ और इमाम स्टूडेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पाकिस्तान की तरफ से शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ आप सब मेज़बानों का, बिलखुसूस तुर्क हुकूमत AYU यूनियन का। और आज के दिन हमारी ये यहाँ पे बैठना एक इत्तेहाद की कीड़ी है जो दुनिया में ایک آواز جگانے کی جو ضرورت تھی، آج ہم اس کے لیے یہاں پہ تشریف فرما ہیں. آج ہم یہاں صرف ممالک کے نمائندوں کے طور پہ نہیں بلکہ ایک انسانی خاندان کے طور پہ جمع ہوئے ہیں. ہم فلسطینی عوام کی ہمت، ان کی ثابت قدمی، ان کے ناقابل تسخیر جذبے کا احترام کرتے ہیں. ہم ان تمام آوازوں اور تحریکوں کا بھی احترام کرتے ہیں جو ان کے ساتھ کھڑے ہیں، جو ناانصافی کے خلاف کھڑے ہیں، انسانی حقوق کا دفاع کرتے ہیں اور فلسطین کو فراموش نہیں ہونے دیتے. ان کی جدوجہد محض سیاسی یا سماجی نہیں ہے، یہ انسانی وقار، شناخت اور زمین میں آزادی کی لڑائی نہیں. ہم ان عالمی رہنماؤں کو بھی خراج تحسین پیش کرتے ہیں جنہوں نے فلسطینی مسئلے کو عالمی سطح پر زندہ رکھا. ہم پاکستان کی تاریخی اور غیر متزلزل موقف کو بھی نہیں بول سکتے. ہم پاکستان کے بانی قائد اعظم محمد علی جناح کے موقف کے مطابق کہ اسرائیل ایک ناجائز ریاست ہے جس کو ہم کبھی بھی تسلیم نہیں کرتے، بلکہ جس طریقے سے امام خمینی رحمۃ اللہ علیہ فرماتے ہیں کہ اسرائیل امت مسلمہ کے اندر ایک گھومتا ہوا خنجر کے مانند ہے کہ اگر مسلمان متحد ہو جائیں ایک ایک بالٹی کا پانی بھی اس کے اوپر رکھے تو ختم ہو سکتے ہیں. آج ہمارے یہاں پہ بیٹھنا ہم نوجوانوں کے آپس میں یہ نشست سماجی نمائندگان کے طور پہ ایک مضبوط پیغام دیتے ہیں کہ صرف ایک آزاد اور خود مختار فلسطین ہی انصاف کی بنیاد فراہم کر سکتا ہے. ہم عالمی سطح پر بھی فلسطینی طلباء کے لیے تعلیمی حقوق کے دفاع کے لیے نوجوانوں اور طلباء کے لیے متحرک کرنے کی ضرورت ہے. ہم تعلیمی پروگرام، اسکالرشپس اور تعلیمی باقی چیزوں میں ان کو آگے بڑھنے کی تجویز دیتے ہیں. آج ضرورت اس امر کی ہے کہ تمام طلباء یونین کے جتنی بھی یہاں پہ بیشتر 30 ممالک سے زیادہ جن یہاں پہ نمائندگان موجود ہیں، اس ضرورت اس امر کی ہے کہ ہم فلسطین کے لیے جو راستے آج کل بنے ہیں، اقوام متحدہ سے مطالبہ کریں کہ فلسطین کی جو بنیادی حقوق ہے، ایک انسان کی جو بنیادی حق ہے، اس کو جو ہیومن رائٹس کی طرف سے جو ملتا ہے اس کے لیے ہم آواز بلند کریں اور اقوام متحدہ کو اس چیز پہ پابند کریں کہ وہ راستوں کی جو بندش ہے فلسطین کی لیے تعاون کی رسائی کے لیے تاکہ وہ اوپن ہو سکے. ساتھ ساتھ اور اس کے علاوہ ہمیں فلسطینی عوام کے لیے پوری طبی امداد اور اس طرح چیزوں کی ضرورت ہے تاکہ ہمیں اقوام متحدہ کی نگرانی میں انسانی امداد اور طبی امداد کی فراہمی کے لیے آسانی راستے کھولنے کی ضرورت ہے. ہم ایک عالمی سطح پہ 1 ملین اور غزہ مہم کے ذریعے مالی امداد اور بنیادی ضروریات کے لیے کوشش کریں گے. ہم شفاف قومی فنڈ ریزنگ کمیٹیوں کی تشکیل کرنی چاہیے جو صرف قانونی انسانی تنظیموں کے ساتھ کام کریں. نوجوانوں کے طور پہ ہمیں امن کے لیے ایک مضبوط آواز اٹھانی چاہیے. ہمیں غزہ کے آج تو مسلمانوں کے ہٹ کر بھی جو نان مسلمان ہیں جس میں انسانیت ہے، جو انسانیت کا درد لی ہوئی وہ بھی چیز کو سمجھ چکے ہیں. تو ہمیں ہر سطح پہ فلسطین کی آواز کو اٹھانا چاہیے اور اسرائیل کی وہ ظلم اور بربریت، اسرائیل کا وہ ناجائز قبضے کو اجاگر کرنا چاہیے. آج ضرورت اس امر کی ہے کہ ہم NGOs کے ذریعے اور باقی وہ ادارے جو انسانی حقوق کی بات کرتے ہیں، یقیناً طلباء اس میں بہت اہم رول ادا کرتے ہیں اس مسئلے کے اوپر، کہ ہم مل کر اس مسئلے کو مزید اجاگر کریں. اور جس طریقے سے ہم یہاں پہ بیٹھے ہیں مختلف ممالک کے نمائندگان، تو ہم یہاں سے بھی یہ امید رکھتے ہیں کہ انشاءاللہ ہم اس ایشو کو مزید اجاگر کریں گے ہر سطح پہ اور فلسطین کے لیے، فلسطین کی آزادی کے لیے، فلسطین کے بنیادی حقوق کے لیے انشاءاللہ آواز بلند کریں گے. ہمارا مشن واضح ہے، مضبوطی سے کھڑا ہونا. اس طرح قرآن مجید میں فرماتا ہے ان تنصروا اللہ وینصرکم ویثبت اقدامکم، یعنی ہمیشہ ہم سچ بولنا، عمل کی تحقیق کرنا اور یہ یقینی بنانا ہے فلسطین کبھی اکیلا نہیں رہے گا. تعلیمی امداد اور ہر حوالے سے ہم فلسطین کے ساتھ ہیں اور انشاءاللہ فلسطین کے ساتھ دیتے رہیں گے. آخر میں آپ سب کا بہت شکریہ کہ مزاحم بنا عالمی تحریک، یہ عالمی ہمارے یونین کی تحریک ہے कराची तहसीन पेश करते हैं इंशाल्लाह जो मुनक्किद करने वाले हैं उनको मुबारकबाद अर्ज करते हैं कि हमारे इस तरह यूनियंस का सिलसिला जारी होना चाहिए। फ़लस्तीन जिंदाबाद।
Thank you very much, İnkılap Zindabad. Thank you for your contributions. We will be moving to Comrade Stefano Araujo from Communist Party from Switzerland. The floor is yours, Comrade.
Yes, do you hear me well? Do you see me well?
Yes, Comrade.
Okay, so, dear comrades, we thank the World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union for inviting us to this important summit on Palestine. We also extend our gratitude to all the organizers and movements whose efforts made this gathering possible. I would like to begin by outlining the situation in Switzerland regarding the ongoing genocide in Gaza. First, our government and federal parliament have once again refused to recognize the state of Palestine, claiming that the time is not yet right. Not yet right for what? You are witnessing a genocide. Second, despite the repeated appeals from civil society, our army continues to purchase drones from Israel, and Swiss banks keep investing in the murderous Israeli company Elbit. This demonstrates once again how our politicians are completely subordinate to Zionist interests. Even within the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs, there was pressure and mobbing against officials and ambassadors who had written an open letter criticizing the pro-Israel stance of our diplomatic leadership. For us, Swiss neutrality must include the recognition of the state of Palestine, the termination of all military cooperation between our country and the Zionist entity, and the strengthening of channels of solidarity, both with the Palestinian people under attack and with those in Israel who oppose the Zionist policies, such as the young refuseniks who refused to take up arms. It also requires fully mobilizing our diplomatic tools to help stop the ongoing ethnic cleansing. Moreover, we reject the so-called two peoples two states, supposedly pacifist formula as a solution to the conflict. On the contrary, we reaffirm that Israel emerged from the legal occupation of Palestine, and we therefore firmly support Palestine's full national liberation. In response to the inaction of our political authorities, pro-Palestine organizations, parties, and movements across Switzerland have continued to organize demonstrations, often without permits and sometimes blocking major streets. All members from the Swiss Communist Youth have consistently participated in these manifestations. Unfortunately, we have witnessed police forces using violence against demonstrators. Tear gas, rubber bullets, and other cannons have been used. On 15th of October in Bern, they even arrested more than 500 participants. Yet, this repression has not stopped the movement, which continues to organize new activities, demonstrations, and manifestations. The Swiss Communist Youth also took part in the university occupation of spring 2024. Rather than responding to dissident demands, such as taking a clear stance on a genocide in Gaza and ending all collaboration with Israeli university tightly linked to the IDF, most university administration chose repression. In Geneva, in Zurich, they even called the police to arrest peaceful students. Nevertheless, some significant outcomes have emerged. In Lausanne, the university published a report on its academic ties with Israel and opened the door to revising them. In Geneva, the university announced that it will no longer use the term strategic collaboration for its partnership with Israeli institutions and has begun applying stricter due diligence criteria. More recently, some of our members have been helping to organize a Day for Palestine in high school across Ticino, the Italian-speaking region of Switzerland. The idea is to give students the opportunity to propose and lead activities related to the history of Palestine and the current situation. Unfortunately, several school administrations, such as the one in Bellinzona, have chosen to censor the majority of those activities using arbitrary and nonsensical criteria. How can school directors presume to decide which topics about Palestine students are allowed to discuss and which they are not? This, once again, reveals the political censorship systematically imposed on initiatives supporting the struggle for Palestine freedom. I'd like to conclude by affirming that our communist youth will continue to struggle until Palestine is free and against imperialism and Zionism. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your statements, valuable statements, and solidarity. Again, comrade. We are moving to Mr. Prakash Shrestha from AMSU All Nepalian Student Union from Nepal. The floor is yours, comrade.
Namaste, Lal Salam, respected organizers, comrades from around the world. Warm greetings from Nepal. I'm Prakash Shrestha, General Secretary of All Nepal National Free Student Union. Today I stand on the behalf of youth and students of Nepal in unwavering solidarity with the struggling people of Pakistan. Today we gather under the title, it is not just a theme, it is demand or responsibility or warning. Imperialism is no longer hidden, it is naked, shameless, and intensifying. In Palestine, we are not witnessing conflict, we are witnessing genocide. Hospitals are bombed, children are buried under rubbles, entire family erased in a single night. This is not a war, this is imperialism in the most brutal, uncensored form, executing domination because it can, because it must prove it still rules the world. We, the youth of Nepal, and our union feels these pains in our bones. From Nepal, we do not watch Palestine is an outsider. We watch a new who know how empire crosses the weak. We remember Bipin Joshi along with 9 other Nepali students who never returned home, killed during the violence in this region. When a student dies carrying hope, it is not just one's life lost, it is a generation wounded. Capitalism or imperialism shares the same DNA. Capitalism is not innovation, it is occupation, extraction, suppression. It destroys culture, sovereignty, humanity, all for profit, market hegemony. We threaten by raising boys' consciousness or working class power. It turns violent. This is why Gaza burns today. The genocide is not accidental. It is systematic, strategic, rooted in imperial interest. And let us, dear comrades, and let us not fool ourselves. If imperialism win in Palestine, its hunger grow. Tomorrow it could be Africa, Latin America, South Asia. Imperialism kills not only with bombs, but with death traps, demand, manipulation, and genocide. Comrades from the world, this is our moment. From New York to Kathmandu, London to Johannesburg, Manali to Sao Paulo, we chant the same cry, Free Palestine. This unity is not coincident, this is history. We carry moral clarity that leaders of have sold. We are not bound by deals, we are bound by humanity. Young people everywhere, regardless of nationality, language, class, or culture, ideology, we must raise against injustice. There is no neutrality in genocide. Neutrality is complexity. So this is not enough. A horde is not enough. We must organize more, build network, strengthen student unions, educate communities, bring global pressure, amplifying Palestinian voice, support relief, expose government that sides with genocide. Let us transform outrage into organization. Let us transform solidarity into structure. Let us transform resistance into global movement. From Nepal, a small nation, on the soldier of Himalayas, our heart stands with the people of Palestine. Your struggle is not only of your land, it is the dignity of all oppressed people. Your courage gives strength to millions across the global, and to every mothers who lost their children, to every father who carries rivals instead of hope, to every youth who holds the broken textbook instead of future. We see you, we hear you, we stand with you, and we will not stop until justice prevails. Imperialism think it can divide us, but today youth from every continent stand united, stronger, louder, clearer than ever. As long as cruelty intensify, our resistance will intensify even more. Let this summit be a spark, or a spark that crosses the ocean, ignites solidarity, and declares with one voice, this world belongs to the oppressed, not to the oppressor. Free, free, free Palestine. Lal Salam, Jai Nepal. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you. We appreciate your solidarity and your strong words, comrade. We are moving to comrade Mertcan Yıldız from Jugendbund Nizar Wagenet from Germany. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Dear friends from across the world, thank you for the opportunity to speak here today. It is a deep honor to represent Bündnis Sarah Wagenknecht Youth Wing, the JSW, at this international conference for Palestine and against imperialism. We gather here in a moment of immense suffering, injustice, and global hypocrisy, a moment in which the people of Palestine are facing destruction on a scale that should shake the conscience of every human being. Entire neighborhoods wiped out, families buried under rubble, children growing up knowing only fear, occupation, and displacement. And while we speak here, the bombs continue to fall. But what hurts even more is that this catastrophe is not an accident of history. It is not a natural disaster. It is the result of political decisions. Decisions made by governments, decisions defended by elites, decisions funded by powerful states that claim to stand for democracy and human rights. And yes, my country, Germany, is one of them. Germany provides political cover, diplomatic protection, and military support for a government that commits genocide against an entire people. And as German on international stage, I want to say, like Bernie Sanders, that I'm embarrassed of this. I'm ashamed of my government's actions, ashamed because my country preaches morality while practicing complicity. But shame alone is not enough. Shame must lead to responsibility, and responsibility must lead to action. And that's why we are here today. In Germany, almost all major parties, from conservative to liberal to green and to the so-called left, have decided to support Israel unconditionally. No matter what crimes are committed, no matter how many civilians die, no matter how illegal the occupation remains, public support for Palestine is being criminalized. Demonstrations are banned, students are punished, activists are smeared and silenced. And anyone who raises their voice for Palestinian rights is immediately labeled extremist, dangerous, or anti-Semitic. But despite all this, despite state repression, despite media propaganda, despite intimidation, young people in Germany refuse to stay silent. And we gather here to show we are not afraid and we are not alone. The JSW, our youth wing, is the only political youth organization in Germany that openly supports Palestine and refuses to bow down to the pressure of the establishment. The only youth organization of a relevant political party that calls this war what it is: a genocide, an occupation, and a brutal violation of international law. But our solidarity with Palestine is not isolated. It is a part of a broader anti-imperialist struggle, because the same structures that destroyed Gaza also push the world towards new wars. NATO, US, Germany, and an economic system that demands domination to survive. Let me be absolutely clear. The NATO is not a defensive alliance. It has never been a defensive alliance. It is a military machine that has destabilized, invaded, and bombed countries for decades, from Yugoslavia to Afghanistan to Libya, leaving behind chaos, death, and exploitation. And unlike the youth wings of all other major German parties, the JSW has taken a clear position. We demand Germany's exit from NATO, not as a symbolic gesture, but as a necessary step towards peace, sovereignty, and a multipolar world free from Western domination. We say this proudly and openly, even when it's unpopular or dangerous, because anti-imperialism is not supposed to be comfortable, it is supposed to be honest. But let's not forget why we are really here. Not to win arguments, not to show how radical we are. We are here because Palestinian families deserve life, safety, and dignity. We are here because children in Gaza deserve the future that was stolen from them. We are here because the people are under occupation deserve liberation. And we are here because silence is betrayal. Palestinians have been dehumanized for so long that the world has forgotten that they are human beings and not political symbols. They love, they dream, they build, they mourn, just like all of us, and their freedom should not be a controversial idea. On behalf of the JSW, I want to send a clear message to the youth of the world. We refuse to live in a world built on occupation, militarism, and imperialism. We refuse to accept that our generation is sent to kill and die for the interests of the powerful. And we refuse to let crimes of our governments define who we are. We stand with Palestine, we stand with all oppressed peoples, we stand with every movement fighting for sovereignty, dignity, and peace. This conference is not just a symbol, it is a commitment to work together. European youth, African youth, Asian youth, American youth, united by a common belief that our world can and must change. And so I stand here before you today, not only as a representative of the JSW, not only as a German, but as a young person who refuses to accept that injustice is inevitable. Let us leave this room with a shared promise to speak louder, to organize better, to stand together, and to fight peacefully but firmly until Palestine is free, until wars end, and until a new world becomes possible. And I want to conclude with a sentence which has already been mentioned in this call and which is very controversial in Germany because you can basically thrown into the prison for this sentence, which is from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Your solidarity, your powerful speech from Germany. I hope the days that nobody got arrested will come for the supporting Palestine. Thank you very much. We will be moving to Comrade Nail Reza from India. The floor is yours.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Distinguished brothers, esteemed organizers, and fellow youth comrades. Hello.
Comrade, you dropped, but we can hear you right now.
Okay. Is it fine now?
Yes, we can hear you. No problem right now. If there is a problem, I will intervene in your speech.
All right.
Thank you.
So, distinguished brothers, esteemed organizers, and fellow youth comrades, it's a profound honor to address this summit as a youth activist from India, a nation forged through a long and determined struggle against colonial domination. Our own history teaches us that freedom is sacred, that sovereignty is non-negotiable, and that oppression, no matter where or against whom, is a stain on the conscience of humanity. Before going to the main topic, I would like to talk about the recent heinous attack which took place at Red Fort metro station, Delhi, the capital city of India, which led to many fatalities along with injured ones. This reckless attack is completely condemnable, inhumane, and the traitors must be presented to justice so that it will prevail and take proper action. We are here stand united against any act which is against humanity, lawlessness, and discrimination of any type, not only here, but on the global scale. This measure must be taken into serious note. Today, we gather because the suffering of the Palestinian people demands not silence, but solidarity. This recent ceasefire has not ended the ordeal. Violations continue, and dozens have been martyred despite the agreement. Gaza remains shattered. Its people remains displaced. Its children remains vulnerable. This is not peace. It's merely the pause between injustices. And therefore, our moral responsibility deepens. The ongoing aggression has claimed over 68,000 lives, with more than 10,000 people still missing. These are not statistics, they are human beings entire families and generations of dreams wiped out. As the youth of the world, we stand united in our unequivocal condemnation of genocide, apartheid, and all forms of occupation. We assert clearly and firmly, humanity cannot allow the normalization of such crimes, and silence cannot be the language of a generation that claims to stand for justice. Dear comrades, the perspective of Indian youth is shaped profoundly by our anti-colonial legacy. India's freedom struggle is not confined to textbooks. It lives in our collective memory. It reminds us that no nation deserves to be subjugated, no people deserve to be displaced, and no child deserves to grow up under the shadow of occupation. Indian youth inherit a legacy built by movements led by Bhagat Singh, Ashfaqullah Khan, Subhash Chandra Bose.
Comrade, your speech, I think. Comrade, can you hear me, Nail, brother? Let's wait 1 minute.
Sarojini Naidu, and countless others who fought against British imperialism is not.
Comrade, you probably the internet connection is not good, but you dropped. So if you can start some sentences earlier, then I appreciate it.
Okay. And this fuels our commitment to oppose imperialistic aggression everywhere. Historically, India supported Palestine at international forums for decades. This historical position resonates with Indian youth today. We relate to struggles against dispossession and displacement. We recognize apartheid when we see it. We believe that no nation should exist at the cost of another's existence. For Indian youth, solidarity with Palestine is not a religious issue, not a political fashion, and not a trend. It's a moral duty rooted in our national ethos. Because of this history, the Indian youth see the Palestinian struggle with clarity and empathy. We understand what it means to be denied dignity, to resist domination, and to fight for one's rightful homeland. We firmly reject the double standards of global powers that justify occupation while criminalizing resistance. We reject media narratives that dehumanize the oppressed and glorify the aggressor. And we reject the imperial logic that seeks to divide nations, destabilize regions, and dictate the futures of sovereign states. For Indian youth, solidarity with Palestine is not a trend, nor an ideological performance. It's a moral obligation grounded in justice, human rights, and the vision of a multipolar world founded on equality and respect. We stand in the brotherhood with the youth of Turkey, Iran, Syria, South Africa, Venezuela, Russia, and all nations resisting imperial domination. Together, we form a rising global alliance of young people who believe that the liberation of Palestine is central to the liberation of all oppressed peoples. We demand, first, international prosecution of all individuals responsible for war crimes and genocide. Second, sanctions on all corporations enabling military aggression. An end to the political protection enjoyed by those who violate international law. If existing institutions are unable or unwilling to deliver justice, then the youth of the emerging multipolar world must work to create new mechanisms capable of ensuring accountability, dignity, and lasting peace. The destruction of schools and universities in Gaza is a deliberate attack on the next generation. It's an attempt to erase a people's future. The youth of the world must step forward to rebuild what has been destroyed. We need to commit ourselves to providing scholarships and academic exchanges, supporting digital education programs, building networks for displaced students, and boycotting institutions complicit in apartheid and militarism. Education is not merely a system, it's the heartbeat of a nation's future. To rebuild it is to restore hope, it said. Talking on health side, calling for immediate UN-supervised humanitarian and medical corridors. Clean water, food, medicine, and trauma care are human rights, not bargaining chips. Urging governments to send medical teams, mobile hospitals, and mental health support. Humanitarian aid must transcend political interest, it must reach Gaza now. The Palestinian cause cannot be separated from the wider destabilization of West Asia. Attempts to divide Syria, Iran, Iraq, Yemen, and others echo the same imperial strategy that fuels the occupation of Palestine. We stand firmly against all foreign military bases, proxy wars, and sectarian manipulation in the region. Sovereignty belongs to nations, not to external forces. We need to address regarding coordinated campaigns across continents, cultural and educational exchanges, regular communication platforms, and sustained advocacy for an independent, sovereign Palestine. The youth of India proudly stand as part of this global movement. At last, but not the least, dear comrades and respected youth leaders, we are the generation that refuses to look away. We are the generation that refuses to be ruled by fear or propaganda. We are the generation that chooses truth over silence and justice over convenience. From Gaza to Delhi, the youth of the world stand united. Long live international youth solidarity. Long live a free and independent Palestine. Long live Palestine from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. I really thanks Mr. Taha, the General Secretary of World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union, for this summit, as he given me a chance to speak up. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much to you, brother and comrade Nail. Also, brother Said said in the chat, I also suggest to look everybody to search Bhagat Singh. He inspires me and other comrades around the world today and tomorrow. Thank you again. Okay, we are moving to Comrade Ihab Al-Mikdad from Youth and Student Committee from Lebanon. The floor is yours.
Good evening, dear Mr. Taha, dear all. My speech will be in Arabic, but I will send the translate in English and French for my friend Taha.
Okay. Also, translators.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you. Also, translation is happening right now, so our participants can listen in other channels as well.
That's good. That's good. الحضور الكريم كل باسمه وصفته ولقبه وبما يمثل. أيها المنتصرون لفلسطين أرضا وشعبا وتاريخا وثقافة، تحية ملؤها الاعتزاز بموقفكم الناصع الوضوح.
I would like to greet everybody who is owning their own history. Being with Palestine is very important indeed. And we are standing against the occupation and massacre. 1988 is the beginning of modern history, which is actually the beginning of the occupation of the Palestinian land. Sofian Oxon and his organization has given that, has started up in that year. But the most important issue here is the Zionist organization has been established on 29/8 on 1967. The first Congress was made in Switzerland, whereby a land can be actually appropriated in Palestine. Afterwards, the Sykes-Picot on 1916 has been signed, and on 1917, the Ofer Declaration has been announced. And such, the national state of the Jews has become legitimized, and a new planning has been involved. So Palestine's first national support has been initiated. So Palestinians had to keep their own identity, and together it has actually started to have a collaboration with its natural surrounding. And And later, Syrian Socialist Party has been established on 1932, whereby this was actually supporting the Palestinian organization, the Shwer area. And from the Shwer area, there was a leader who became also a martyr in the Lugos city on 1936. Rafiq Hussein al-Banna was his comrade as well, who became a martyr afterwards. And later on, all of the Zionist organization has put their all efforts for their own targets, and the United Nations has been founded on 1945, and so in order to protect and preserve the Israeli interest, Israel has been founded, and unfortunately, occupant organizations have occupied these lands as of 1948, where they became a de facto organization. And the United since those days, unfortunately, people had to leave their cities, sometimes countries. They started to immigrate. And since then, the Palestinians are facing the same problem. The Zionist powers are not only acting crime against the Palestinians, and however, for 72 years, our brothers and sisters in Palestine is facing this occupation. And we had a lot of martyrs, whereby most of them are women and children in the West Bank. Unfortunately, they are trying to murder and create criminal acts against the people living there. And there was also a struggle in Syria. And the most important martyrs was Hassan Nasrallah and Hasham Safiyet. So thousands of settlements have been destroyed since then. Distinguished colleagues in Lebanon and Gaza, even though there was a ceasefire, the occupants are still infringing these agreements. More than 5,000 attacks have been made. War has become like an oxygen for them. And of course, this cannot be accepted, and they can only do it with the support with the United States. Our heroic people in Lebanon and in Palestine are still actually showing a great resistance, and they have never accepted to dislocate from their settlements. Even though they are living in the tents, they reject to go out to other countries and to immigrate. And that's the reason why I would like to thank all of the people who are supporting them. I would like to thank to all of the young people who are supporting the discourse and to the narrative of Palestine. this is a very honorable way of acting for humanity. In Lebanon, in the Palestine case, is supported by the youth organization, and we definitely have great experiences, and we are showing an international effort. So you can get benefit from our expertise as well. From over social media, we are showing the real face of Israel. We, in the social media platform, the youth organizations are bringing up the real cases for all to see. And on the other hand, our friends in Gaza, so that they can stand on their feet, we are also definitely believing that it's very much necessary to give them financial support and bring up campaigns for that. Distinguished colleagues, dear colleagues, with all of our efforts are stand with us, because the enemy only knows to kill. They can only stand by killing, not only in Gaza, in Lebanon, or any part of the world. They are still continuing to kill. So that's the reason why we need your solidarity. Our academia, our cities, our streets has to be converted and transformed. We need to come to the city centers and bring the voice of the people so that we can actually scare that enemy. And hopefully we can meet back again in the historical city of Jerusalem, in Qudus again, so that we can show our great resistance. And I say Palestine and Palestine.
Thank you.
Long live Palestine.
Contributions, Mr. Hab. Dear brothers, dear comrades, you can change your language in the bottom left side. Comrades say it right in the chat. Also, non-English or non-Arabic people can listen other people in their own language as well. So also I am sharing the stream links in English stream and Arabic stream. You can share this with your comrades from your country as well. Thank you again. Now we are moving to Ahmed Faki from Covenant Youth Union. He is here, but due to internet connections, I will share his video message to you. I'm opening it right now. Is there a sound problem?
Yes,
Yes,
the
yes.
sound is
Very good sound. Yeah, very
Okay,
good sound.
let's move to next speaker. I will solve it in this part. Okay, we are moving to Walid Abbasi from Popular Current of Tunisia. The floor is yours, Mr. Walid. Mr. Walid, are you here? I saw your name, but maybe you dropped. Let me check.
تحياتي للجميع.
Okay, you are here. Okay, Mr. Walid, floor is yours.
اوكي، تحياتي للجميع وآسف جدا على هذا التأخير.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody, and I'm so sorry for this delay. It's out of my will, unfortunately, and I am really happy to be with you in this session. There are different guests from different regions.
بمرجعيات سياسية وفكرية مختلفة، لكن في الأخير تجمعهم.
There are different people from different ideologies, but of course we are gathered together for a case, which is for Palestine and freedom, and we are here to defend the Palestine, Gaza. So from east to the west, everybody has shown their free will. Well, we are here for the resilient peoples. I have sent you a very long paper. However, I'd like to point out to some important topics. Well, as the sons of this region, unfortunately, today, we are very much affected by this conflict, and this bloodshed has affected everybody a lot. As youngsters, we don't have many options. Either we are going to fight against this enemy altogether, or else we will be falling down one by one. I think we don't have any other option. We are going to unite, and we are going to stand against Zionism. And we should stand against those who support Zionism. We have to show solidarity to each other. And we are the brothers and sisters of the neighbor countries, neighbor nations. Perhaps in the past we might have had certain problems among the members of this region, but we are the noble sons and daughters of this land. We are the owners of this land. We are fighting against Zionism, and this Zionism is trying to dictate this oppression on us. Israel is like a crime instrument and showing their aggression over us. We should definitely see the victory of Palestine. We are the sons and daughters of this land, and Gaza people are on the forefront on this battle. They are fighting against cruelty, crime, and racism. They are definitely in a big war. Currently, we have many tools that we could show as an argument against this case. If the Palestine case falls, it means that our regions will fall as well. May God forbid. So Palestine resistance should continue. Altogether, we have to do our best, and we have to act together. And we should definitely come together, and we should fight against these crime organizations, Zionism. We have to stop our relations with Zionists. We have to definitely stop all these hegemonic project supporters. And we have to stop those who try to normalize these processes with the Zionists. And they're trying to get everything from our hands. We have to use all the means and opportunities at our hands. We need to mobilize armies, media, money, everything should be utilized. We are responsible for this. We have this debt for Palestine people because they are fighting for humanity. We have to definitely provide this support. This is not just something like a blessing. This is an obligation. This is something that we have to do. It's a must. We have to do many things together, and we need to get to know each other better. This is Walid El Abbasi, and I am from Tunisia, and I'm the leader of the popular current in Tunisia. Well, there are many heroes in Tunisia, and I'm the leader of this people movement. So we have many friends with us supporting these free movements. We have really big entities. They are trying to mobilize their all instruments. They are doing their best. They are trying to raise the voice of Tunisia against this cruelty. And we can organize ourselves against cruelty in Palestine. So you have a brother in Tunisia like this, so you can always contact with me. And also, there are many other organizations in Tunisia. Well, you can also have contacts with them, and we can facilitate the relations with those institutions if you wish. And I believe that we can take many positions together for Palestine, for humanity, for resistance and against racism. We can do many things together if we unite, and we should fight against those who try to say lies about the history, try to change the history. Once again, I'd like to extend my apologies for this delay. Thank you.
Thank you for your contributions, Mr. Walid. You are not late. We are going faster than we expected. Thank you again. I will be sharing Comrade Ahmed's video from Covenant Youth Union. I solved the problem. Now I'm sharing it with you.
مساء النور. هل الصوت مسموع؟ Hello.
Well, can you hear me? Can you hear me? He's asking.
First, we consider the organization of this summit to be essential, necessary,
Öncelikle
and profoundly important. Even with the announcement of the first phase of ceasefire agreement in Gaza Strip, this conviction stands for several reasons. First, Palestine and the entire region remain in grave danger, still positioned within the radius of an impending war. These forces continue to fix their predatory gaze on us, openly declaring their ambitions through the concept of Great Israel, which Netanyahu himself displayed on a map bolstered by the arrogance and narcissism of Trump looming behind him, boldly challenging the entire world with a crude hostility. As youth, it is our duty to stand firmly against this criminal expansionist project, because it threatens not only Palestine, but the stability and safety of the entire world. Second, this war is far from over. It is merely unfolding now in more insidious forms. The enemy has clearly not adhered to the terms of the agreement. It has violated the ceasefire repeatedly, killing and injuring dozens since its announcement. We must remember that this agreement was forged within individuals known for their recklessness and dishonesty. One a fool, a clown, and a compulsive liar, and the other a manipulator who broke, distorted, and overturned the previous two agreements. Trusting them would be naive. Third, the responsibilities that await us after this war are enormous. The Palestinian cause and the broader West Asia region are experiencing one of the most dangerous and deceived moments in their entire history. The project of Great Israel and Great America have been publicly declared, and the threats facing Palestine, the West Banks, and Al-Quds are unprecedented in magnitude. Fourth, at the same time, critical issues must be burst with full force. Foremost among them, the imperative of holding these criminals accountable in international forums. The International Criminal Court has issued incitements against Netanyahu and his military and political leaders, for war crimes, and the atrocities committed in Gaza have been recognized as acts of genocide. These matters must be raised with intensity and clarity in the universities, youth gathering, and the students' platforms around the world. Fifth, the summit is a gathering of all free and honorable people, those who stand for humanity, justice, and for Palestine. The summit is not only about Gaza, it is a platform to defend humanity, its principles, and the oppressed everywhere, against the domination of the United States, Israel, and all who follow their destructive policies. We anticipate this confrontation with these forces of destruction to expand across the globe. They seek today subjugate the entire world in an unprecedented way, marked by shamelessness, aggression, terrorism, racism, and hatred. They attempt to humiliate us, and we say with full resolve, we will not kneel, we will not allow you to do so, we will resist. It is crucial for this summit to bring together the broadest possible range of youth and student organizations from the United States, from all of Europe, from Latin America, from Russia, from China, from the Arab world, Africa, and from Australia. Let this become the largest global youth assembly for Palestine, humanity, and justice. It is necessary to highlight a critical development: the transformation in global youth awareness. Following the events in Palestine and the region, demonstrations that have swept the world, especially on American university campuses, which produced the decision makers, deserve particular attention. Special tribute must be paid to the students at the University of Houston, who have continued their hunger strike for a third consecutive week. If youth consciousness has indeed evolved into a global revolutionary awareness inspired by the end of Palestine, and if it has become a force that can no longer be ignored, then this newfound awareness is a source of hope for all oppressed people across the world. At the final point, here in Lebanon and in the region as a whole, war would erupt at any moment. This makes coordination indispensable should the situation in Palestine worsen. What position will we take? What are our joint practical plans, including financial support for Gaza destruction, so that we'll remain prepared for any development, especially given Israel's unstable appetite for bloodshed, control, and expansion? An emergency action plan is crucial, including rapid coordination meetings to mobilize universities and social media platforms. These arenas are essential battlegrounds that we must never abandon, especially since the enemy views social media and particularly youth platform worldwide as one of the areas where it has suffered its greatest losses. As a result, the enemy will attempt to counterattack by manipulating algorithms and suppressing this rising revolutionary youth consciousness. Regarding the final declaration, it's important to highlight mainly two issues. First, the International Criminal Court's case against the war criminal Netanyahu, as well as the demand for accountability for those who are involved in documented genocide in Gaza, including leaders, governments, and corporations, even those not belonging to the Zionist entities. Another crucial point, I believe, the actual number of martyrs in Gaza exceeds 68,000 and 10,000 are missing. Yet the declaration only mentions 40,000 victims. Furthermore, it is necessary to emphasize the enemy's failure to respect the ceasefire agreement, especially through repeated shellings and killings, primarily for children and civilians, and its continued obstruction of humanitarian aid. Mostly important, and I stress this, the summit must be practical, not merely a venue for speeches and declarations. We possess the ability to resist, and we are capable of standing firm in the face of this monstrosity. It is essential that we develop a unified action plan for the coming year, including coordination efforts across all organizations, as the youth, university, and social media levels. This should be the primary outcome of the summit, a concrete plan for sustained action and coordination, supported by a regular meeting whenever developments arise or circumstances demand. This is vital for Palestine and for our oppressed people, especially as the aggression remains ongoing. Anyone who believes this war has ended is gravely mistaken. This brutal enemy cannot hold its crimes because such brutality is inherent to its nature. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much for the speech and the strong messages, Ahmed Fakih.
Yes. Hello,
we are-
Taha. I just wanted
yes.
to state my name. Yes, I couldn't risk my unstable internet connection to cut off my word, so I sent in advance a video. But it's me, Ahmed Fakih, the president of Covenant Youth Union of Lebanon. Thank you all for hearing, and the video was my message.
Thank you very much to you as well. Also, thank you for speech and guaranteeing it due to your connection problems. Okay, we are moving to Mohammed Ihab Al-Saidi, Mr. Mohammed, the National Union of Tunisian Students from Tunisia. The floor is yours.
مساء النور، مساء الخير إلى كل الرفاق والرفيقات والأخوات من
Well, hello everybody, good evening.
والمنظمات العالمية التي صمدت وما زالت صامدة من أجل الدفاع.
Well, I'd like to extend my gratitudes and salutations to everybody. We stand today before a truth that no free conscience can turn away from. We are here to defend Palestine case. This is our common case. As distinguished guests, Palestine is no longer a mere political issue or a diplomatic file circulating in corridors of conferences. It has become a universal moment, a decisive moral test for the entire world, a mirror reflecting the collapse of the modern international order and the disintegration of the narratives it built around claims of defending peace, justice, and human rights.
أو هامشا، بل هي الجرح الذي يفضح العالم والدم الذي يعيد تعريف معنى الحياة والصمود.
Today, Palestine is not just a passing wound, temporary wound, but it is the wound that exposes the world, the blood that redefines the meaning of life, and the steadfastness that recreates humanity ever. Time colonialism that creates humanity every time colonialism attempts to erase it. The ongoing events, especially the continuous massacres in Gaza, have revealed the fragility of the international order, an order that claimed for itself the role of a just arbiter. It's a system that trembles before power, falls silent in the face of injustice, and colludes when the killer is shielded by political, military, and media arsenals. We're no longer before an innocent world, unfortunately, but a world that has chosen to witness genocide and remain silent to watch children beneath the rubble and justify it, to prove once again that when evil is organized and the state-sponsored, while the collapse of the system cannot be measured merely by the paralysis of the Security Council or the silence of international institutions. When the international institutions fall down with the collapse, it was the time when they deemed Palestinian blood worthless, when it viewed their bodies as numbers, their cities as spaces eligible for forced evacuation, and their dreams as threats to be crushed. Here the main question emerges: who still defends the human being? Who still preserves the core of the values when the institutions designed to protect them amid this terrifying collapse, a luminous truth emerges: the rise of the Palestinian popular resistance, not merely as a political movement, but as the new horizon of human liberation. Resistance has transcended its military meaning to become an entire philosophy of existence, telling the world that human beings do not belong to great powers, that popular will is stronger than silent legal institutions, and freedom is not a gift to be granted, but as an act to be seized despite hunger, bombardment, and siege. Popular resistance today, with its consciousness, steadfastness, and unity of being, has rebuilt its image across time. It's no longer a simple reaction to occupation. It has become a global school that teaches humanity itself how to stand, how to dream, how to transform pain into certainty, wounds into strength, and tears into light that does not fade. Resistance has shown the world that the Palestinian is not a victim waiting for sympathy, but a person who knows that freedom is not a political option.
ورأيناه في الشيوخ الذين لم يتخلوا عن مفاتيح بيوتهم رغم مرور أكثر من 70 عاما.
We have seen this in Gaza, unfortunately. These children forced to grow up before their time, and we have seen women who carry the homeland as they carry their children, and the elders who have kept the keys to their homes for more than 70 years. We have seen resistance pulse in every demolished home, in every family that lost its children, but not its resolve, in every street that turned into a front of awareness. And we've seen it move the peoples of the world, from American universities to European streets to the squares of the Arab world, declaring that Palestine is not alone. The rise of popular resistance is a moment of historical correction, a rebalancing, a return to the human being whom the international order attempted to erase. This rise does not depend solely on the rifle, it depends on will, on consciousness, on our ability as peoples to restore the world to its moral compass when it goes astray. The Palestinian has become the first teacher, teaching us that freedom is not a postponed dream, that resistance is not violence but the natural response to oppression and silence in the face of injustice, of complicity. And if the international system has collapsed morally, the peoples of the world have risen with newfound moral and political weight. We have seen the global student movement regain its revolutionary spirit, restoring the idea of international solidarity that neoliberalism sought to kill. Now the future of human liberation passes through popular resistance. The liberation of Palestine is not merely the goal of a besieged people. It's a part of a global project confronting colonialism, racism, capitalist domination, and the manipulation of collective conscience. Palestine today is not a local cause. It is the epicenter of a reconfiguration of global awareness.
فعل الفلسطيني وهكذا فعل كل من آمن بقضيته.
I believe that when human beings realize that institutions have abandoned them, they return to themselves, to the roots of their power, to an undefeatable will. This is what the Palestinians did. This is what every person who believes in their cause has done. Today, Palestine is writing a new chapter in human history, and they need all the actions. So in this way, they are going to fight against the oppressors and last but not least, this is what I'd like to say. This siege is going to finish like it happened in the past, and the bloodshed is not going to prevail in Gaza. And future generations will be fairer, and the people of Gaza, people of Palestine, all the students in the world will be supporting each other. We are going to support them as well. We know that if you do not fight for yourselves, you will be enslaved and you will pay the way for your freedom. Last but not least, I know that it's not going to become an exception in history. Palestine is going to be a turning point. The people who stood tall under bombardment and faced genocide with unbroken dignity will teach the world the meaning of freedom, just as they once taught the meaning of honor. and the popular resistance that rose from beneath the rubble will be the path that restores humanity to itself, restores balance to the world, and restores to the Palestinian cause its right to life, justice, and victory.
كل المناضلين الذين يدفعون بدمائهم وبأفكارهم وبأقلامهم نحو دعم القضية الفلسطينية.
Once again, I'd like to extend my gratitude to everybody. Long live Palestine, and thank you so much.
Thank you for standing with us today and your powerful remarks, sharing your powerful remarks with us. Now we are moving to, it's my honor to pass the floor to Dr. Ahmed Abu Dawood from Union of Algerian Academics and Intellectuals from Algeria. The floor is yours, my professor.
Thank you, brother, dear brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما زالت جريمة وحرب الإبادة الجماعية التي يشنها جيش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي على الشعب الفلسطيني في قصاع غزة مستمرة. يعني ونحن نتحدث الآن ما زالت جرائم الإبادة وجرائم القصف ما زالت مستمرة رغم ادعاءات وقف الحرب أو بالأحرى وقف القتل وليس الحرب من قبل جيش الاحتلال، رغم الاتفاقات ورغم الضامنين، لكن القتل والإبادة والتدمير والتهجير القسري لم يتوقف، وكأن الكيان الإسرائيلي لم يرتوي بعد من دماء عشرات الآلاف من الأطفال والنساء والمدنيين.
The Israeli, as we all know, for a long period of time, the crime and genocidal war waged by the Israeli occupation forces against the Palestinian people in Gaza Strip continues unabated. Despite claims of ending the war, or rather ending the killing by the occupation forces, and despite the agreements and supposed guarantors, the killing, destruction, genocide, and forced displacement have not stopped. It is as if the Israeli entity has not yet been satiated by the blood of tens of thousands of children, women, and defenseless civilians. These crimes, sponsored by the US administration and the forces of global injustice, continue because of international community, the United Nations, international organizations, and the Arab and Islamic states look on as a river of blood in Gaza flows without taking any meaningful action to confront this historic catastrophe in modern times. Brothers and sisters, the reality on the ground compels us as youth organizations, unions, and civil society groups across various countries to mobilize to stop the war crimes committed by the occupation forces. The situation is becoming increasingly catastrophic. The crisis is deepening and the tragedy is worsening. Israel continues to bomb civilians and wipe out entire families while the triad of poverty, disease, and famine threatens the population of Gaza. And the ongoing blockade on aid, medicine, medical supplies, and essential goods intensifies the food crisis and reinforces policies of starvation, thirst, and malnutrition, especially for thousands of children deprived of infant formulae, nutritional supplements, vaccinations, and treatments. It has become clear that the Israeli entity has no regard for international law and human values, enjoying US and Western protection that grants it impunity for its crimes against humanity. From this standpoint, our meeting today under the umbrella of International Youth Forum of Palestine is the utmost importance. Its significance lies in the mechanisms of action and practical coordination, and we will agree upon it and translate into the reality. Therefore, I believe we must emerge from this meeting with the formation of Global Youth Front that develops an urgent action plan to pressure first the government supporting Israel's criminal policies and to hold accountable all those responsible for these war crimes. Second, we must alleviate the suffering of Gaza's population by pushing for the opening of crossing, allowing the entry of aid and relief teams, and advancing reconstruction efforts. And I hope that our meeting will lead to continued joint work and coordination in whatever forms you deem appropriate. And
said this initiative, which has laid the foundations for building connections between us as organizations and youth union from over the world. I think it's a step we should build up and invest in and continue to advance. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you very much for your suggestions and the practical steps that needed to be taken. We will take these practical steps and not create only union about the theoretical sense of Palestine, but the practical ways and how we can help the Palestinian and the world's anti-imperialist struggle. So thank you again, Dr. Broad. Now we are moving to Mr. Hossam Eldin Berkan from representing Arab Youth Forum from Algeria. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, sir. Can you hear me, guys? Am I audible?
Yes, we are hear you.
Fantastic. So, distinguished participants, dear friends, it is an honor to join you today at this International Youth Summit, a space where the conscience of our generation gathers to stand for justice, dignity, and humanity. I speak to you on behalf of the Arab Youth Forum, platform that has dedicated its work in every meeting, in every activity, to exposing war crimes and defending the rights of oppressed peoples, whether in our regional forums, in Beirut, Baghdad, and other Arab capitals, or through awareness campaigns across our universities. We have carried one message, that the youth of our region stand firmly with the people of Palestine and reject every form of genocide, occupation, and forced displacement. Today, even after the announcement of a ceasefire, the reality in Gaza remains catastrophic. The images may have disappeared from some screens, but the suffering has not ended. Violations continue every day. Homes are still destroyed. Families are still displaced. Children are still buried under the rubble, and civilians continue to be killed under the false pretext of self-defense. What is happening in Gaza is not a conflict. It is a systemic crime. The deliberate killing of civilians, the starvation of an entire population, the destruction of hospitals, universities, and shelters. These are not accidents of war. These are violations defined clearly in their international law as war crimes and crimes against humanity. And yet, the international system, the very system that claims to defend human rights, has failed to hold the perpetrators accountable. This failure has allowed the occupying power to act with impunity, to ignore the Geneva Conventions, and to continue its aggression while being protected politically and militarily by Western powers. In all our Arab Youth Forum meetings, we have insisted on raising awareness about forced displacement, about starvation used as a weapon, about systemic targeting of women and children, and about the responsibility of international community to act. We have condemned attempts by certain media outlets to hide these crimes or to normalize them, as if the suffering of an entire people is a secondary story. Our message has always been clear. This is a human issue before it is a political one. But speeches alone are not enough. This is why our youth networks in Algeria and across the Arab world have mobilized through student unions, cultural initiatives, and advocacy campaigns. The voices of the youth has been one of the strongest voices calling for accountability, for justice, and for an end to the blockade and the occupation. Today, gathered with young leaders from all continents, we must move from awareness to coordinated action. I would like to share a few concrete proposals. First, all youth and student organizations should work together to pressure their governments and international institutions to demand accountability for war crimes and to support independent international investigations. Second, we should strengthen global advocacy. We should strengthen global advocacy campaigns, both online and on campuses, to counter misinformation and expose any attempt to justify genocide and their political narratives. Third, We must support efforts to rebuild the human foundation of Gaza, its schools, its universities, its health facilities, and its civil society. Education is the cornerstone of any future, and rebuilding it is a responsibility we all share. Fourth, youth organizations around the world should cooperate with verified human rights, with verified humanitarian partners to support emergency relief efforts for basic needs, shelter, food, clean water, and medicine. Finally, we must continue building an international front of youth that reject imperialism, reject occupation, and stand for the dignity of all peoples, from Palestine to every nation facing injustice. Dear friends, throughout history, youth have been at the heart of every movement for liberation. And today, once again, it is the young generation that is called to defend humanity. When institutions fail, to defend truth when media fail, and to defend justice when powerful states fail. Let our unity today be more than a symbolic gesture. Let it become a global force, loud, organized, and persistent. Because the massacre in Gaza must end. The starvation must end. The occupation must end. And the future of Palestine must be built with hope, with justice, and with the solidarity of youth from every corner of the world. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Thank you very much, especially the bullet points, suggestions for the practical works that aims directly how we can help the Palestine and people. Thank you again. Now we are moving to comrades Mr. Kianomi Mox from SWAPO Youth League from Namibia. The floor is yours, comrade.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we are hearing you. We are hearing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Comrade General Secretary of the World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union, honorable guests, fellow youth leaders and comrades. I'm grateful to be part of the International Youth Summit for Palestine, resistance to genocide and human rights violation. Therefore, I bring greetings from Namibia, the land of the brave, in the SWAPO Party Youth League. We stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people in their struggle for freedom, sovereignty, and human dignity. And to us, this summit is a testament to the growing global resistance against imperialisms and human rights violations. Therefore, we recognize that the struggle for Palestine is not just a national issue, but a global one, requiring international solidarity and action. The Namibian youth, having fought against the apartheid and the colonialisms, we understand the importance of self-determinations and the right to resist occupations. So we are aware and we feel with the Palestinian people today. And Namibia also having experienced the first genocide of the 20th century by the German Empire, the Ovaherero and Nama genocide of 1904 and 1908. Yeah, we are by 80% of Ovahereros and 50% of Nama people were exterminated. And I'm a direct descendant of the Ovaherero people. Hence, we are fully aware of what genocide means, and we shall continue fighting for our reparations in our country back here. So therefore, we condemn the ongoing genocide and human rights violations in Palestine, and we also call upon an end to the Israeli occupation. And our words also to the Palestinian people to say that your strength in the face of extermination, interference, and economic blockage is an inspiration to all who value self-determination and justice. We reject attempts to destabilize your democratic elected government, whether through military interventions, economic sanctions, or deceptive campaign aimed at undermining your sovereignty. So we fully agree that, and we are to say that this summit is an opportunity for us to strengthen our bond, to share our experience, and also coordinate our struggle. So therefore, Let's work together to build a world where freedoms, justice, and dignity are for all. Yeah, and then we will say, just to say, finally, to say that your courage continue to inspire international solidarity, people of Palestine. And may peace and dignity prevail. And we will say, long live the Palestinian resistance, long live the Anti-Imperialist Youth Movement, long live the World Anti-Imperialist Youth Unions. I thank you. Kenao Mwitayakoveni on behalf of the Sober Party Youth League.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your statement and solidarity, comrade. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Now we are moving to comrade Yosneisi Paredes from Venezuela, from the GISPSU. The floor is yours, comrade.
Muchas gracias. Buenas noches. Desde la Juventud del Partido Socialista Unido de Venezuela, saludamos esta iniciativa de la Cumbre Internacional de la Juventud para la Resistencia al Genocidio y a la Violación de Derechos Humanos en Palestina. Agradecemos a la vanguardia juvenil del Partido Batán y a la Unión de Jóvenes de Turquía por la invitación.
Comrade, your mic is closed.
Okay. Buenas noches. ¿Me escuchan?
Yes, we can hear you right now.
Buenas noches. Desde la Juventud del Partido Socialista Unido de Venezuela, saludamos esta iniciativa de la Cumbre Internacional de la Juventud para la Resistencia al Genocidio y a las Violaciones de Derechos Humanos en Palestina. También agradecemos a la vanguardia juvenil del Partido Batán y a la Unión de Jóvenes de Turquía por la invitación. Hoy continúan cerniéndose sobre el mundo agresiones imperialistas que una vez más pretenden intimidar, dominar y someter a los pueblos que levantan las banderas de soberanía y autodeterminación. Resulta imposible contar en un solo mensaje o en un solo discurso todos los crímenes que han cometido a lo largo del tiempo el imperialismo y sus aliados y sus cómplices. Hemos visto en tiempo real cómo el neocolonialismo encarado por el Estado sionista de Israel pretende borrar a un pueblo entero. En todos los casos tratan no solamente de hacer como que si el pueblo palestino no debiera existir, sino que no hubiese existido nunca. Palestina es una herida abierta en nuestra humanidad, pero es también un faro de dignidad. Se ha convertido Palestina en un ejemplo de una permanente e indoblegable voluntad de resistencia y en bastión moral para todos los pueblos del mundo. Duele que la herencia del Holocausto sea la Nakba. Desde 1948 hasta hoy, el Estado sionista de Israel no ha parado con su criminal estrategia contra el pueblo palestino. No podemos permitir tanta indolencia. Debemos poner un freno definitivo al sionismo, al nazifascismo, al neocolonialismo. Hacerlo desaparecer definitivamente. La barbarie de hoy se derrotará solo si Palestina es libre. Pero, ¿qué estamos dispuestos a hacer nosotros y nosotras para poner límites a quienes se sienten los todopoderosos del mundo? Desde Venezuela, desde aquí, nosotros apelamos a la rebeldía de las juventudes para crear conciencia que esta no es solo la lucha del pueblo palestino. En Gaza se está librando una batalla definitoria y es la batalla de la vida defendiéndose de la muerte. Es barbarie o humanidad. Nos corresponde a nosotros ayudar a que prevalezca la vida. Debemos luchar juntos, que se escuche la voz en todo el mundo de ese grito de esta generación en defensa de Palestina y su derecho a existir. No es tiempo para ser tibios. La tibieza construye puentes para que los malvados puedan avanzar. Es el momento de tomar acción, es el momento de la movilización permanente, es el momento de que construyamos agendas conjuntas para profundizar y fortalecer la solidaridad activa y a tiempo. Sigamos alzando la voz por Palestina y estemos también vigilantes de que no extiendan el genocidio que hoy cometen en Gaza a todo el mundo. Debemos también estar atentos a lo que sucede en África, a lo que está sucediendo hoy en el Caribe, donde los cómplices y aliados del sionismo también pretenden sembrar tragedia y dolor. Para cerrar, quisiera citar a Mahmoud Darwish en su poema Sobre esta tierra. Sobre esta tierra hay algo que merece vivir. Sobre esta tierra está la señora de la tierra. La madre de los comienzos, la madre de los finales. Se llamaba Palestina. Señora, yo merezco porque tú eres mi dama, yo merezco vivir. Mientras sigamos de pie y luchando, se seguirá llamando Palestina. Que viva Palestina libre.
Thank you very much. We are Palestine as much as we are Venezuela, and creating a solidarity, universal solidarity for Venezuela is a duty for us as well, as much as the Palestine, because the revolution will come, the universal resistance against imperialism together. Thank you again. Okay, now we are moving to Comrade Safa from Representative Palestine Solidarity from Texas, US. The floor is yours, Comrade.
Thank you, Taha. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, friends, comrades from all over the world. I'm very honored to be convening with all these incredible revolutionary organizations that are dedicated to our people in Palestine. My name is Safa. I'm a Palestinian organizer based in Houston, Texas, with Palestine Solidarity Texas and the Campaign for a Houston Arms Embargo. This campaign is a grassroots movement of residents, workers, and organizations demanding an end to the shipments of military cargo for Israel through the port of Houston. I will be speaking about the Houston Arms Embargo campaign and the need to organize around an international people's arms embargo on Israel. So why an arms embargo? At the same time that conditions in Gaza are the worst they've ever been, we're also witnessing demobilization, loss of engagement, and loss of energy in the movement for Palestine here in the US. And we believe that people can be re-energized with a unified strategy of attack against the heart of the genocide, the weapons. It's the weapons and the international arms trade that sustain this genocidal state. Israel without arms is not Israel, it's nothing. We understand that the very process of imperialist war is necessary for the global accumulation of capital. The war economy is the essential industry of capitalism, and the international capitalist class is reaping big profits of the genocide in Gaza. This, of course, does not stop at Gaza. The entire global system can be understood as a vast military-industrial complex. The Zionist entity perfects its military technology on the people of Palestine and then exports it throughout the globe to be used against the people of the, quote, third world and the oppressed segments of the West as well. A new report from Do Not Panic News revealed that AI-powered quadcopter drones used by the IOF to commit genocide in Gaza are flying over American cities as we speak, surveilling protesters and automatically uploading millions of images to an evidence database. As Palestinians have been telling the world for decades, the horrors we allow Zionism to inflict upon Palestine will inevitably be brought upon us all. In a very literal sense, The fight to liberate the people of Palestine from Zionism is a fight to liberate all colonized people of the world from this genocidal global system. Building a movement for a people's arms embargo will necessarily involve the broadest section of the masses. By focusing on an arms embargo, we are not just fighting one segment of the international military-industrial complex. We are organizing against the core logic of a system that thrives on the destruction of our societies. This is a critical fight in the global class struggle, because dismantling the war economy is dismantling the cornerstone of imperialist power itself. So a little bit, the Houston context. The Houston arms embargo campaign is one localized front in this global struggle. The Palestinian Youth Movement's Mask Off Maersk campaign set up foundation and methodology to track shipments of weapons components for Israel across the world. This foundation helped us investigate and uncover the flow of components through the Port of Houston. And what we found was that the Port of Houston was not just another facet, but a central node to Israel's weapon flow. The Port of Houston regularly transports critical parts for the F-35 fighter jet, the crown jewel of Israel's military. Parts from all over the world enter Houston's port on Maersk ships and are then transported to Lockheed Martin in Fort Worth in Dallas, Texas, for final assembly. This facility is one of only 3 F-35 assembly sites in the world, so only 4 hours away from us. It's precisely Houston's proximity to Fort Worth that makes our port so essential to the supply chain arming Israel. Once these jets are assembled, they fly from Fort Worth directly to occupied Palestine, where Israel then uses them to bomb hospitals, schools, shelters in Gaza. A previous report republished by the Palestinian Youth Movement exposed the central role that Maersk plays in the F-35 program. Out of 1,000 shipments of F-35 parts that Maersk transported globally between 2019 and 2025, approximately 40% of those shipments were transported through the Port of Houston. Between 2020 and 2025, the Port of Houston unloaded 432 Maersk ships carrying F-35 parts, of which 178 came directly from Israel. The cargo included items like batteries, tires, and wings of the F-35. During this 5-year period, the Port of Houston connected over 12 million pounds of military cargo from suppliers in Israel, Italy, Spain, the UK, the Netherlands, and Korea to the final assembly site in Fort Worth. As one of the largest ports in the country and the world, and as a central point in Israel's supply chain of death, we in Houston have a huge responsibility on our shoulders. Israel has used the fleet of F-35s throughout its barbaric bombing campaign of Gaza over the past 2 years. It's a highly advanced combat aircraft that can carry up to 18,000 pounds of munitions, including the 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs that have been used in both Gaza and Lebanon with catastrophic effects. On July 13, 2024, Israeli F-35 jets dropped several of these 2,000 bombs on Al Mawasi, a crowded tent camp set up in a designated, quote, safe zone in Khan Yunis. The attack killed at least 90 displaced Palestinians and injured 300 more, tearing bodies apart and burying people under the sand. Without the F-35, Israel would not be capable of carrying out its genocide in Gaza. I want to provide some context about Houston. I didn't know much about Houston when I moved here 5 years ago. So for our international comrades, Houston, Texas is the most populous city in the American South and the most diverse city in the US, with one of the largest Palestinian populations in the Western Hemisphere. We have large immigrant populations from Mexico, Central America, Vietnam, India, Africa, and South America. This is evident when you look at the makeup of our own organization, which includes Palestinians, Africans, Mexicans, Guatemalans, Filipinos, Indians, and Pakistanis, all working towards the liberation of Palestine. And while Houston is extremely diverse, the city is also very segregated. So we see the diversity of our membership as an important advantage in helping to connect with different communities and struggles across the city. The Houston Arms Embargo campaign, led by our organization, Palestine Solidarity Texas, and the Palestinian Youth Movement, is seeking to do the same thing. Our growing coalition of over 30 organizations unites diverse struggles and communities across the city in solidarity with Palestine. We have been speaking to hundreds of businesses and engaging thousands of workers and residents to educate people about how our city's public infrastructure is being used to facilitate the genocide of Palestinians. We've spoken to hundreds of dock workers who had no idea that they were shipping cargo for genocide until they spoke with us. Our campaign, most importantly, is trying to make the demand for an arms embargo a local issue for people. Houston's public infrastructure, funds, and its workers are being exploited and used to facilitate war crimes and commit genocide. To this end, labor and workers are a very central strategy of this campaign, and specifically unionized dock workers at the port. Working with labor really opens up the possibility for moving beyond symbolic actions and street protests to long-term economic costs for the state and their employers. As we've seen with global port worker strikes in places like Italy, Spain, Greece, and Morocco, when workers on the inside get involved, there is massive potential for a lasting impact. Here in Houston, we've been working to build relationships and trust with unionized dock workers. Our ability to form these relationships will determine the success of our campaign. This is a lesson that we learned examining port actions around the US, the most successful example being in Oakland, California, where organizers really took the time to build out relationships with the local union. When Oakland took action against an Israeli shipping line back in 2014, they had support from inside from workers who were able to block the carrier from their port for over a decade. While our context here in the South is more difficult than in California, where they have a long history of radical worker organization, we believe the formula is the same. Take the time to build trust, relationships, and find common ground. In October of last year, dock workers from Houston to the entire East Coast of the US went on strike to demand protection against the shift towards automation, which threatens to replace workers with machines. Maersk, the logistics company deeply complicit in the genocide in Gaza, is also a leading force in the push towards automation that is threatening the livelihoods of these workers. This reveals just how deeply interconnected our struggles are. After all, it's human labor that can go on strike, fight their employers, stand in solidarity with workers in Palestine, not machines. And employers like Maersk know this. So when we speak with dock workers, we speak to them from the perspective of shared struggle. That means our organizing must be informed by the experiences of the workers and focus on building links between what is happening in Palestine and what is happening with them closer to home. To conclude, the demand for an arms embargo on Israel is international. No matter people's opinions and positions on Palestine, everybody can agree that we should not be arming the genocidal state of Israel. And in the past year, port workers in places like Spain, Greece, and Morocco, we've seen they have refused to transport Israeli weapons and goods to the entity. We know there will be no ceasefire without a total arms embargo on Israel. There will be no end to the genocide without a total arms embargo on Israel. And the people of every port city across the globe involved in the supply chain of death, Houston, Los Angeles, Algeciras, Tangiers, Rotterdam, we must organize and fight for an arms embargo on this genocidal state. Thank you. تحيا فلسطين.
Thank you very much. The arms embargo is an important topic, and we will also give a place to it in our final declaration. Thank you sharing your work with us. Okay, we are going to Miss Sarah Flanders from Workers' World Party from US as well. The floor is yours, Miss Sarah.
Greetings from Workers' World Party.
Greetings.
And solidarity and thanks to the World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union for convening this International Youth Summit. We're gathered in complete solidarity with the heroic and steadfast people of Palestine. Our unconditional support for the resistance of the Palestinian people is a duty of our whole class internationally. We recognize the right of the Palestinian people to a free and independent state with sovereignty over all of Palestine, with the right to resist colonial occupation and the right to return of all Palestinian people. This is a historic position of Workers' World Party from our founding in 1959. Workers' World Party has always denounced Zionism as a settler colonial outpost and a creation of imperialism. And we stand in solidarity with all resistance to U.S. imperialism, our global enemy, here and everywhere in the world. The world has profoundly changed in 2 years. Resistance in Gaza has caused a global shift in political consciousness. There is now a deeper understanding of imperialism and Zionism as a tool of the West, a colonial outpost. Finally, it's seen for what it is. Now, something else has shifted in the 2 years since the heroic daring of October 7th. The creative yet high-tech ability of a surrounded, besieged, locked-down people to organize a resistance to Israel's announced complete expulsion. Their resistance was a shock to those who are so used to deciding the fate of others. And here is another shift in these 2 years. All appeals that were to the great imperialist powers to break with Israel. There were endless appeals to the United States, to the European Union countries, to rein in Israel, to stop the bombing, to allow in food and supplies. But it's clear now that there's no mercy from the imperialists. Any gain for Palestine will be based on collective determination and mobilization from below. This is our responsibility. The duplicity of the ruling class of each country in the imperialist West and their collaborators in West Asia has been exposed. Palestine has overwhelmed every other topic and campaign. In the United States, in an effort to shut down the solidarity, every threat was used. But both U.S. imperialism and the Zionist movement are seething in frustration at their failure to defeat the Palestinian movement, and they're sensing their isolation at the hatred directed against them. And now they're lashing out wildly and violently. Their message to the world is that there's no crime that U.S. imperialism and its proxy Israel won't commit. Trump has threatened Palestine, then Yemen, then Iran, then on to Venezuela. Every possible destabilization effort, every coup that can be fomented. Now he's sending troops and ICE agents into U.S. cities to kidnap migrant workers. And while cutting every social program. But the response from the population is not cowering and hiding. It's increasingly combative. Now, just to raise this ceasefire, they call it a peace plan. It's the latest exposure of their weakness and their desperation. Israel is isolated on a global scale. It failed utterly failed despite every form of mass terror, every crime of starvation, assassination, random shootings, bombings of schools and hospitals. It failed to defeat or disarm the Palestinian resistance. And it's clear that the Zionists can't continue. They lack capacity and internal cohesion, although they don't lack weapons. It's also clear to all the imperialist powers who rely on the Zionist movement to be their stormtroopers in West Asia that the Zionists are no longer capable of fulfilling that role, despite the endless shipments of equipment. So now all the predators together boldly claimed that they would bail out the Zionists in a ceasefire. We don't know what's ahead, but the world movement needs to first and foremost support the Palestinian resistance. Our solidarity is an obligation. Now, just to make some notes on the global movement, we should take note of the general strike in Italy. This is something new and not seen in decades. The October strike in response to the Zionist destruction of the Samud flotilla and the general strike called in Italy for November 28th and 29th are workers' strikes not on bread and butter issues, not only against austerity and cutbacks, although that underlines the growing anger throughout Europe and here, anger at endless money for war. But these Italian strikes are political strikes. It's a qualitative change. The collective actions in Rome, Milan, Naples, and especially in Genoa, one of the largest ports in Europe, it shows the Zionists can stop small boats in a flotilla, but not a sea of people. And that's the wave they fear. There were breakthroughs in Germany where solidarity with Palestine, even the mention of the word Palestine, was criminalized for decades. In France, huge solidarity has ignored the ban on even displaying the Palestinian flag in public spaces. In Britain, despite the harshest terrorism laws ever passed, thousands stood up to the effort to criminalize Palestine action. And here in the US, the Trump administration gathered every one of there are more than 800 generals and admirals, all the top brass at the Quantico military base. And what was the purpose and the message? That US troops will be deployed on the streets of our cities in the US in an escalating racist war against migrant workers. Here in the US, there's now a war on workers and labor unions. 200,000 government workers are fired, hundreds of thousands more being robbed of their right to a union. Millions are losing access to health care, food assistance, and housing, and can no longer afford basic necessity because there's endless money for war. I want to also touch on the war on Venezuela while staying focused on Palestine. We're in the midst of mobilizing demonstrations to oppose the threatening U.S. war on Venezuela. Aircraft carrier battle group with jets, nuclear subs, destroyers are off the coast of Venezuela. Every day, small boats in the Caribbean and now even in the Pacific are incinerated with no notice by drone attacks from the U.S., publicly then applauded. This week, there will be resistance actions across the U.S. in more than 70 U.S. cities and 10 countries from November 15th to next Sunday, November 23rd. These actions, large and small, organized by the United National Anti-War Coalition. So let me welcome any who can join, who can add. It's a basic first step in building international opposition to another U.S. war, this one aimed at militarizing all of the Western Hemisphere. And we're going to urge all participants here today to at least consider what's possible. I'll put a little link in the chat. In conclusion, there's an all-out effort by the ruling class to silence resistance and to normalize a vicious level of violence internationally. Now they ignore and seek to destroy international law and United Nations bodies that they created over generations. The Trump administration has helped to orchestrate the assassination by bombings of top government officials in Iran, in Yemen, in Lebanon, and in Qatar. They overturned the whole government of Syria based on years of the harshest U.S. sanctions. They're seeking to expand war in Ukraine while attacking Venezuela and demanding a complete regime change. So now U.S. imperialism is threatening Mexico, Panama, Colombia, demanding every government surrender. This is a desperate empire that is in decay and in decline. Tariffs are imposed globally, up and down, doubled, tripled. This unravels the U.S. economy, although it's meant as an attack on the economy of every country. It breeds resistance. There are now U.S. sanctions on 40 countries. This is a third of the global population. To confront this, new connections among people who identify with each other's struggles and are determined to build trade and communication are arising. This is new, and it is historic. The Palestinian resistance, we recognize it has continued generation after generation. They've made clear they can't be dismissed, wiped out, or their demands for sovereignty ignored. And we take note that now the youth of the West chant not only free, free Palestine, they embrace the chant death, death to the IDF. These 2 years have changed everything. Let's embrace this change, take risks, refuse to back down. A new day is painfully emerging, and Palestine will be free. Thank you all for this program.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sarah, for sharing your valuable perspective with us. Now we are moving to Comrade Dennis, representatives from All African People's Revolutionary Party from US. The floor is yours, Comrade.
All right. Hello, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Dennis Christian, and I'm representing the All African People's Revolutionary Party and the All African Women's Revolutionary Union, the women's arm of the party. We are a revolutionary Pan-African organization, meaning that we seek to unite the continent of Africa under the banner of scientific socialism, a form of socialism that is shaped by the material conditions and the needs of the African people. For hundreds of years, starting with European colonialism, the Imperial West has violently looted the African continent of its culture, people, and raw earth materials, right? Lining the pockets of the capitalist pigs while leaving the continent in an underdeveloped state. Only through an African socialist revolution can the continent be liberated and gain back the humanity that was stripped away. It is the responsibility of every conscious African born abroad to recognize our inseparable link to our ancestral homeland for a Pan-African future. Just as the Mau Mau of Kenya fought for freedom in the 1950s, we must resist the Western hegemony by any and all means necessary. It is important for me to provide this context because it helps to make clear why the AAPRP and AAWRU stands with Palestinians and the global majority against the genocide being carried out by the white supremacist settler colony that is the so-called State of Israel. Just as the U.S. Equips the Zionist state equips the enemies of the African people on the continent, profiting from our deaths and the theft of our natural resources. The AAPRP and AAWRU are staunchly anti-Zionist, and we will remain so until Zionism is crushed in its entirety. We uncompromisingly and unconditionally support the Palestinian people and their right to resist. All justice-loving people must work for the destruction of Zionism and the illegal, racist, garrison state of Israel. and for the construction of a democratic state in which Palestinians have full self-determination. As Pan-Africans, we recognize that it is the struggle against Zionism that forms an inseparable bond between Africans and Palestinians. A bond rooted in humanism and expressed through our shared resistance against Western imperialism. On October 7th, 2023, Al-Aqsa flood unleashed a powerful tsunami of rising consciousness that transcended all borders and imaginations. The brave and honorable Palestinian resistance reignited a flame that had gone dormant amongst the masses, a flame that represents the desire for peace and the willingness to fight for it. We remain ever grateful to the Palestinian resistance for their steadfastness in battle, and to the people of Gaza for their immense sacrifices. There is only one way to honor their contribution to the global struggle against imperialism. We must strike at the Zionists and their collaborators whenever and wherever possible. The struggle against Zionism and our support for the Palestinian people must be waged on all fronts. The AAPRP and AAWRU cadre across the world have been organizing alongside local grassroots organizations and participating in international efforts to combat this ongoing genocide. For example, the AAPRP and AAWRU have endorsed the Palestinian Youth Movement's demand for Maersk International Shipping Company to stop shipping military cargo to and from the Zionist state. Going even further, cadre in the Houston, Texas area have begun to organize a local arms embargo alongside local grassroots organizations like Palestine Solidarity. And now we stand with the International Anti-Imperialist Youth Union against Zionist aggression, for the freedom and reconstruction of Palestine, and for a just world order. We stand united as the front of humanity. Our party's founder, Kwame Nkrumah, once said, freedom is not something that one people can bestow on another as a gift. They claim it as their own, and none can keep it from them. And I close with this African proverb, forward ever, backwards never. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Deniz. We are also following closely and supporting the revolutions that's happening in Africa, for example, in Mali, Burkina Faso, and other countries, especially against French imperialism and US imperialism. The unity of African people is a very important topic, and we are supporting that struggle as well.
Indeed.
Now, the floor is for the comrade Ronin from Students for Justice in Palestine from the US as well. The floor is yours, comrade.
Thank you, comrade. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ronin. I represent the Students for Justice in Palestine, specifically the University of Houston chapter. But we are a collection of decentralized chapters across most major US universities fighting to end the complicity of our institutions in the Zionist project. We're really grateful to be here with all of these principled organizations from around the world in solidarity with the people of Palestine. As Americans, we stand in a unique position. The United States government and its vast military and diplomatic apparatus are culpable for every single crime committed by the Zionist entity. IOF officials happily admit that without the funds and arms provided by our government, the occupation would not be possible. The landscape of West Asia is dominated by US-backed rulers who feel more responsibility to their American benefactors than to their own people, let alone the people of Palestine. And we understand that the genocide in Gaza, in which most of the world has acted only as spectators, reminds us of a conflict most Americans have already forgotten, which is the decade of starvation visited on the people of Iraq by US sanctions, bookended by the destruction of the country's government and infrastructure in 1991, and again in 2003. America's impunity, both in its support for the Zionist Israeli genocide and in its destruction of Iraq, in its aggression against Venezuela, Iran, Yemen. These are a reminder of what power really is. The U.S. empire exercises power, military, diplomatic, and financial power to steal from and exploit the people of the third world, making clear the emptiness of political sovereignty under the global capitalist framework. But theft and exploitation are not only reserved for foreign workers. American workers find themselves at the bottom of one of the most extreme wealth gaps of any country. Their interests are aligned with the interests of the global working class, but their levels of consciousness, organization, and militancy are low. Starting with the encampments, the student front has been the most visible front of action in solidarity with Palestine in the United States. Students, both national and international, face intense repression from university administrators and from the state. Universities crack down on speech, adopting policies that define speech critical of Israel as hate speech, and firing professors who speak about the genocide. Students like Mahmoud Khalil and Rumeisa Öztürk were abducted by federal immigration authorities, separated from their families, and threatened with deportation. Each crackdown on students' rights to speak becomes a spectacle in the news. And while US public opinion has shifted in favor of Palestinian sovereignty, especially among youth, the chilling effect of these crackdowns on speech has forced many of our chapters underground. The student movement in the US is largely restructuring at the moment. Demands for universities to divest from the Zionist war machine have been largely unsuccessful, where students have failed to find leverage over these institutions. American universities are tied strongly to the state, taking huge amounts of their research funding directly from the Department of Defense. And the university environment is increasingly designed to ignore, academic expression or interrogation, and to funnel students into managerial roles in the corporate bureaucracy of the US empire. Student leadership in the movement is also limited by our relationship to workers. While most students are workers themselves and many take on enormous debts in order to afford their education, the upward financial mobility promised by the university education creates a barrier of experience between students and regular working people. So in the final analysis, US student activism, while it has forced the state to crack down and clearly demonstrate the contradiction between those who are guided by a moral obligation to humanity and those who are guided by their financial investment in empire, the decentralized structure of the movement has allowed institutions, universities, to isolate their students and prevent them from uprooting the deep financial and research ties between the university and the military-industrial complex. All in all, the student movement in the United States has been extremely vocal, but we've faced, extreme repression in the same way that many of our comrades across the West have. We're here to take lessons from the rest of the world and looking to learn from each of the principled organizations who've been brought here today, and learn from how, resistance looks when we're not sitting in the heart of empire. But ultimately, we believe that to truly combat US imperialism, student organizing has to grow beyond the demand just for divestment of the universities and the academic institutions from the Zionist entity, but has to pivot off of the university campus and into the workplace as well, where real leverage lies. I'm so grateful to the World Anti-Imperialist Youth Union for bringing us on to this conference, and I think we'll all see a free Palestine within our lifetime.
Yes, we are not hoping, but we are knowing that we will see that happen. Thank you, Ronan. Now we are moving to from Western Sahara, Yaguta Fatma Mulay, from Polisario Youth, Western Sahara's youth. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. And I'm really sorry that I will have to turn off my camera since I speak from the refugee camp and I won't be able to have good internet connection.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
So on behalf of the Sahrawi youth, I extend my sincere gratitude to the organizers for creating this space and for ensuring that the voices of people under occupation including ours, are presented in this critical conversation. So today we gather at a moment of immense sorrow and moral urgency. In Palestine and specifically in Gaza, the world is witnessing a genocide carrying out in real time. Entire neighborhood erased, families wiped out, basic infrastructure deliberately destroyed, and the population deprived of food, medicine, and the most fundamental rights. This is not only a humanitarian catastrophe, it's a crisis of a global consciences. It forces the international community to confront a simple but painful question. Do the principles of its claims to uphold apply to all people or only to some of them? For young people, this is a question, this question is not abstract. It determines whether our future are lived with dignity or shaped by violence and imposed reality. As a Sahrawi, I speak from a place of deep solidarity because of our lived experience. Western Sahara, too, is a land where the rights have been suspended for generations. Since 2020, war has returned to our territory. In the refugee camps, Sahrawi youth hear the echoes of chilling. In the occupied areas, they endure daily systematic violations, surveillance, and an environmental design to suppress any expression of dignity or resistance. So for 5 decades, the Moroccan occupation had brought systematic violation, forced displacements, and the relentless of plundering of our natural resources. So phosphate fisheries, agriculture, and now large-scale renewable energy. These projects are deployed without our consent, and they serve a clear purpose to enrich the occupation and to normalize an illegal status quo through economic dependency and political alliance. Once again, my apologies. I am actually speaking from the People's Summit here in Brazil, and we have a lot of noise. So my apology once again. And yet, of course, the international law has been unambiguous when it comes to Western Sahara. And Western Sahara is still a non-self-governing territory, and the Sahrawi people retain the right to self-determination. A right reaffirmed by multiple UN resolutions, and most recently by the 2024 ruling of the Court of Justice of the European Union, which struck down the EU-Morocco agreement applied to our territory with our own consent. So, but legal clarity does not always transfer or translate into political courage. Since the 2020 normalization between Morocco and Israel, a pact built on the trading of Palestine land for Sahrawi land. Geopolitics have further undermined our rights. The most recent UN resolution of the Security Council resolution extended the MINURSO mandates while promoting Morocco's so-called autonomy plan. This signals a dangerous trend, the legitimization of occupation in exchange for strategic partnership. It is precisely in moments like this that the young or the youth must speak clearly. Sahrawi youth sustain our society every day, teaching in the camps, documenting violations in occupied cities, and carrying forward our struggle across the diaspora through research, advocacy, and international mobilization. The world often sees only the political complicity. What we live is human. Separation, interrupted education, limited opportunities, and constant effort to perceive dignity in conditions meant to stripe it away. So I don't stand here to equate Western Sahara with Palestine. Each struggle has its own history, its own trauma, its own hopes. But both reveal a truth that the world must confront. When international law is applied selectively, when justice becomes conditional, it's entire people, and especially the youth, who pay the price. As a Sahrawi youth, we stand with Palestine people because we understand what it means to watch powerful actors decide our own fate without us. We understand what it means to resist erosion, not only physically, but politically, culturally, and morally. And we believe that our generation has the responsibility to insist on something different, that peace cannot be built on disposition, that justice is not bargain chip, and that the rights of the people, of all people, Palestinians, Sahrawis, Sudanese, Lebanese, Syrian, and in all parts of the world, to determine their own future must be non-negotiable. Once again, I thank you for listening and thank you for standing with Palestine and the Sahrawi people and all the shared struggle for freedom and dignity and recognition. Free Palestine, free Western Sahara.
Thank you very much sharing your solidarity with Palestine and sharing your struggle against imperialism. Thank you again, Ms. Fatma. Okay, lastly, from Labour Party from Brazil, Douglas Pereira Liderança sent his video message. I will share it with you right now. Also, before opening it, thank you, Ms. Sarah. I will send you the final declaration as well.
Dear comrades and fellow youth from the world, I join you today on behalf of the youth of the Workers' Party of Brazil, bringing our solidarity, our commitment, and our indignation in the face of the unbearable suffering imposed on the Palestinian people. We meet at a time when the world is confronted with a profound moral test. For decades, the Palestinian people have resisted occupation, apartheid, dispossession, and the systematic denial of their most human basic rights. Today, as we speak, this violence continues with unprecedented intensity, and the international system that should guarantee peace has been unable or unwilling to act. But even in the darkest moments, there is light in the unities of the people. And this summit is proof of that. Young people from every region, from every culture, every political tradition, standing together to reaffirm a simple truth. Palestine must be free. As young people in political, social, and popular movements, we have a responsibility to speak clearly and without hesitation. Silence in moments of injustice is not neutrality, it is complicity, and we refuse to complicity. Our generation inherited a world shaped by colonialism, by war, by global inequality, but we also inherit the legacy of those who resisted, who organized, and who dreamed of liberation from Latin America to Africa, from Asia to the Middle East. The struggle of Palestine is not isolated. It is part of a broader global fight for dignity, sovereignty, and self-determination. It echoes the struggles against dictatorship in Latin America, against apartheid in South Africa, and against occupation in countless regions of the world. Comrades, solidarity with Palestine is not an act of charity. It is not a humanitarian gesture detached from politics. It is a struggle for justice, for international law, and for the right of the people to live in their land in peace with dignity. We fight for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, an end to the blockade and occupation, and the recognition of a Palestine sovereignty of their state, with East Jerusalem as its capital. Accountability for violations of the human rights and international law, and the clear support for reconstruction, education, and youth empowerment in Palestine. These are not radical demands. They are the minimum necessary for justice. The Workers' Party of Brazil, throughout its history, has stood with the Palestinian cause. President Lula has reaffirmed Brazil's defense on a peaceful and fair resolution based on international law and human rights. Across Latin America, peoples and youth movements have expressed solidarity, protesting in the streets and welcoming refugees and denouncing violations. Latin America understands colonial violence. We carry in our history the memory of our own struggles against coups, dictatorships, and foreign domination. Therefore, we also know that liberation comes from the unity of people, from building bridges, not walls, from creating dialogue, not silent voices. Comrades, we are not here simply as witnesses. We are here as actors. Youth has always been at the forefront of struggles for peace, democracy, and justice. What does that mean for us today? It means organizing in our universities, in our cities. It means pressuring our governments to take from diplomatic stance. It means fighting for misinformation and racism. It means amplifying Palestinian voices and stories. It means building international alliance like the summit that will last any government or war. Because we are the generation that refuses to accept a future built on rubble. The Palestinian people have taught the world one of the most powerful lessons in history, that hope is an act of resistance. Even under occupation, young Palestinians create art, pursue education, raise their voices, build communities, and envision a liberated future. And as long as they continue dreaming of freedom, we will continue standing by their side. On behalf of the youth of the Workers' Party of Brazil, I reaffirm our unwavering solidarity. We will continue to work with youth movements, progressive parties, trade unions, and civil society around the world to build a future where Palestine is no longer a victim of impunity, but a free nation among other free nations. Let the summit be not only a space of denunciation, but a space of construction, of alliances, strategies, and collective action. May our voices echo louder than the bombs. May our solidarity travel farther than the walls built to silence it. May our generation witness what so many have fought for, a free Palestine from the river to the sea with justice and dignity for all. Thank you. Solidarity and struggle, as always.
Thank you for Comrade Douglas's contributions. Now we are moving to closing section. Let me give me 1 minute. I'm opening my speech and the final declaration. Dear comrades and friends, thank you all for your powerful contributions and standing together today with such clarity, courage, and unity. The summit has shown once again that the youth of the world, from West Asia to Africa, from Europe to America, refuse to bow to imperialism, oppression, and genocide. Our voice rises as one for justice, sovereignty, and the liberation of Palestine. The struggle continues beyond this meeting. Let us carry this unity into our campuses, our communities, and our countries. Together, we will strengthen the anti-imperialist front and build a world worthy of humanity. Long live international youth solidarity. Long live the struggle for a free Palestine. We have prepared 2 versions of our final declaration. One is a comprehensive document that explains our struggle in full detail, and other is a shortened version prepared specifically for today's session. Both have already been shared with all participating organizations to keep program flowing. I will read the shortened version in here. After the summit, we will publish both versions online for all our viewers to access. Okay, I'm opening. against imperialist Zionist aggression, for the freedom of and reconstruction of Palestine, and for a just world order, we stand united as the front of humanity. We, the youth representative of anti-imperialist organizations at the online International Youth Summit for Palestine, reaffirm our unwavering solidarity with the Palestinian people in their heroic struggle for independence and justice. Despite the announcement of a ceasefire, Zionist violations continue unabated. The occupying power has repeatedly breached the agreement, and dozens have been martyred since its signing. This so-called truce has never been respected by those who persistently violate international law and the basic humanitarian principles. The summit remains indispensable. The struggle today extends beyond resisting genocide. It has become a global fight for justice and accountability of war criminals. We support an independent state of Palestine, with Al-Quds as its capital, its territorial integrity restored, its border determined by its own people and governed by Palestinians exercising full sovereignty over their historic lands, continental shelf, and natural resources. We therefore declare the following. We condemn the ongoing genocide carried out by the Israeli Zionist regime with full US and Western support. Over 68,000 Palestinians have been martyred, more than 10,000 remain missing. The atrocity that will haunt humanity for generations. Youth, student, and civil organizations worldwide must unite so Gaza is never abandoned, and this suffering becomes a renewed global struggle for justice and liberation. We uphold the right of nations to determine their own destiny on the basis of genuine national sovereignty as defined in the Charter of the United Nations. Sovereignty belongs to states that embody the collective will of their people, and it must be protected against all forms of imperialist aggression. However, we also reject the misuse of concepts such as self-determination when employed by imperialist powers to legitimize artificial separatist projects. We likewise reject the imperialist initiatives fostered by NATO's expansionist policies. The struggle of all nations defending their independence, dignity, and territorial integrity against imperialism is legitimate and must be supported. Youth movements must strengthen international solidarity, coordinated actions, and humanitarian efforts in this common struggle. Within the broad front of nations resisting imperialism, the struggle of Palestinian nations holds a central and indisputable legitimacy. Its right to resist does not originate from any international institutions, but from the essence of national independence. International law, including the Geneva Convention and the UN Charter, affirms this already just and sovereign struggle. The US and the Western imperialism criminalize the legitimate resistance while whitewashing Israel's brutality and genocide. We reject all imperialist attempts to disarm, eliminate, or suppress the legitimate right of Palestinian people to resist. Supporting national defense against Zionist aggression is not only justified, it's a duty. Although international law often operates with double standards that shield imperialist states, the International Court of Justice remains a place where violation can be challenged while respecting national sovereignty. We call for an international arms embargo on Israel, sanctions on all governments and companies arming it, and legal action including citizenship revocations where applicable against foreign nationals who joined its military in committing war crimes. Yet we affirm that the true justice cannot rely on biased institutions alone. If existing mechanisms fail, the anti-imperialist states and nations of the emerging multipolar world must build independent and sovereign platforms capable of securing real accountability. The destruction of schools and universities in Gaza is a deliberate attempt to erase the future of Palestine. We call upon youth and student organizations worldwide to help rebuild educational infrastructure and to support Palestinian students. To this end, we will encourage the education solidarity programs to provide scholarships, online courses, and academic exchanges for displaced students. Urge the UN and national governments to open emergency scholarship programs. Support digital education initiatives for Gaza in cooperation with NGOs and technology partners. Boycott universities and institutions involved in war crimes or military collaboration with Israel. The people of Gaza faces an urgent humanitarian and medical crisis. We call for UN-supervised humanitarian and medical corridors, the immediate lifting of the blockade, and the full access to clean water, food, medicine, and critical supplies. To advance this goal, we will encourage the governments to send emergency medical teams and mobile hospitals. Promote cooperation with medical associations to expand telemedicine, trauma recovery, and mental health support. Advocate in international forums for protection of healthcare workers and the hospitals under the Geneva Convention. Mobilize youth organizations to build solidarity networks supporting medical and humanitarian relief efforts. Reconstruction and survival in Gaza require a coordinated and practical solidarity. We call on universities, trade unions, and youth organizations to work with authorized institutions to deliver aid through transparent and lawful channels. We encourage regular solidarity campaigns and awareness activities in campuses and communities to sustain long-term engagement. We curse Israel's ongoing aggression not only in Palestine but across West Asia, including attacks on Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Yemen, and Qatar, carried out with US and British support. These strikes aim to destabilize the region, weaken independent states, and fuel sectarian conflict. We affirm our solidarity with the people of resisting these assaults and uphold their right to defend their sovereignty and territorial integrity against imperialist interventions. We affirm the statement first stated in our 2021 declaration. The imperialist project in West Asia and Eastern Mediterranean is built on three-legged strategy of aggression and division. 1. Zionist occupation of Palestine remains the spearhead of the US-supported Zionist aggression across the region. 2. The US-Israeli project of so-called Free Kurdistan, in reality Second Israel, seeks to fragment Turkey, Iran, Syria, and Iraq by promoting separatist and extremist movements. 3. The US-Israeli military presence in the Eastern Mediterranean, centered on the US and NATO bases in Greece and Southern Cyprus, is used to encircle West Asian states and dominate key sea routes and energy corridors. The triad of aggression forms the primary threat to the regional sovereignty, security, and development. We also express our solidarity with the people of Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, whose existence stands as a bulwark against the imperialist encirclement. We oppose NATO's expansionist agenda, which serves the US imperialism by militarizing regions and encircling sovereign nations. Furthermore, the withdrawal of states such as Turkey and Germany would weaken this structure and limits its interventions. We call for the removal of all US, Israeli, British, and NATO bases from West Asia and the Eastern Mediterranean and reject all attempts to divide Syria or inflame ethnic and sectarian conflict by the hands of US and Israel. We condemn the political media and legal repression imposed on pro-Palestine voices, journalists, students, and workers silenced across Western countries. The youth of the world stand for a just and independent peace based on equality of nations and the end of foreign interference. We reaffirm our commitment to uniting the struggle of oppressed nations, from Palestine to Turkey, from Lebanon to Venezuela, and from West Asia to Africa, Latin America, Europe, and United States. Our struggles form one common front. Regional value committees will be created in West Asia, Africa, and America to coordinate anti-sanctions and anti-blockade efforts. We will also form a global youth coalition for Palestine under VAYU, bringing together student unions and organizations worldwide. This coalition will organize global awareness and cultural solidarity campaigns, strengthen the unity through shared education and volunteer initiatives, and maintain collective pressure on institutions and governments to uphold justice for Palestine. Our task as the anti-imperialist youth, to strengthen coordination among anti-imperialist youth movements through VAYU, to create permanent communication platforms for joint actions and campaigns, to organize meetings every 2 months for evaluation and coordination, to promote cultural exchange and youth delegations among member organizations, to publish monthly coordination bulletins of youth actions, to develop an online platform and a joint action plan for continuous campaign for coordination for Palestine. This summit unites free and honorable youth of the world from Asia to Africa, from Latin America to Europe, for humanity, justice, and Palestine. It stands not only for Gaza, for all oppressed nations against imperialism, Zionism, and their collaborators. Our collective voice declares we shall continue to stand for justice and human dignity. The youth of the world rise together to defend humanity, independence, and justice. We declare our solidarity with the people of Palestine and with all nations resisting imperialism, from Gaza to Caracas, from Algiers to Beijing, from Moscow to Ankara. Our heart beat as one. Long live international youth solidarity. Long live the struggle for a free Palestine. Thank you very much. Our summit is ended. Thank you for all of the contributions. Thank you for your speeches. Thank you for our viewers from YouTube and other platforms. We will making other summits as well. Also, thank you for our interpreters, our translators. Thank you, everyone. See you in the next summit.